Hi there, friend. My name is John Werner. I used to be a part of the largest cult in the United States. After studying the Bible, Christian history, and ministry, I set my sights on confronting the problematic nature of white evangelicalism in the United States. In 2019, I published my first book as a first step in addressing the subtle issues of this complex system. This podcast will continue that work under the same title. Welcome to The Cult of Christianity.
Welcome to the season finale of The Cult of Christianity. I'm your host, Rich Uncle Pennybags. Okay, I have to explain that. There's me and my siblings had a handheld Monopoly game that was hosted by the Monopoly guy. And I think his name was Rich Uncle Pennybags, whatever. I'm joined by Chris and Lily. They're back. Chris, why don't you say hi? I had one that was just weird. Yeah, sometimes you get a flashback in the middle of what you're saying. But Chris, how are you doing?
I've been better. I heard you say that, and I just immediately was like, wow, I wish that I wasn't here anymore. No, I'm good.
Good. Yeah, it's also one of those things. I just referenced something way too specific. I'm like, there's no chance that anyone listening to this had that same handheld Monopoly game.
I am familiar with the character.
Yeah, is that his name? What is his name?
I think it's Rich Uncle Pennybags.
Okay, so I said it right.
I think it's Pennybags.
That's so weird. Anyways, Lily's here too. Lily, I put you on mute. You have to unmute yourself. Say hi. Unless she refuses. There we go. Yeah, just to remind the people what you sound like.
Oh, all right. Well, I wish you'd asked me how I was doing, but I guess you got scared since Chris's answer, because I've also been better, but it's fine.
Glad we're all having a mediocre at best day.
No, it's because of you. My day was great. I was napping.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, everything was great until we started talking to you, and then
it became immediately mediocre.
Okay, today's episode is brought to you by bullying.
Listen, honestly,
it is fun. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know I'm trying to be a therapist and all, but part of me does believe that a little bit of bullying is a good thing.
You heard it here first.
My best work relationships involve quite a bit of bullying, and so do my best friendships. So there's something to it.
Yeah. Bullying is a love language.
I would still be dressing really badly if I hadn't been bullied a little bit.
Okay, that's a hot take.
So in case y'all haven't noticed, this is the finale episode. It's a little bit more laid back.
Just a little.
Yeah. If y'all didn't catch last year's, basically this is a party. We just enjoy each other and have fun. Chris and Lily are still, though others are catching up, they're still the reigning champions for most episodes as a guest. So because of that, they come back, and then we have a lot of fun. If you want to see video of this, Lord willing and the creek do not rise, it should be on Spotify, but it depends on a million technological factors, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's possible to see us, maybe. But let's go around the and just say update. Well, I'll tell Lily, I think knows this, but Chris, I don't think you know this because you're not on socials. Yeah, I had a shit day last night. I was I got run off the road. I was like.
Were you saving this for the podcast? Because we just talked for an hour.
Me and Chris were just talking for an hour and a half before this, and I didn't tell him.
I probably wouldn't have known unless I saw it on his Instagram story with his Venmo at.
Yeah, because
Venmo and Cash App.
Your boys
throw the Venmo up for the podcast listeners. Let's make sure that they can all donate.
Don't give me money, y'all. Give me money through the channels.
Did your car get fucked?
A little bit.
The two passenger side tires did. So basically what happened was I was going, it's like a 2-lane road with like double yellow lines. And there was someone oncoming who had like hazards on, and then there was somebody behind them. And then somebody just decided to who was speeding to whip around into oncoming traffic. And so in order to not have a head-on collision, I went on the sidewalk and it busted my 2 tires and the driver drove away. So that sucked. So I was in the side of the road till 3 a.m. till a tow truck came and took it to my house. So that was yesterday. For the listener, that was a week and a day ago. So I'm in a little bit of a weird mood, but I'm happy to be here and drinking and having a good time and not worrying about my car right now. So now that the bar's been set there, y'all can say whatever you want. Chris, how are you doing? Tell us what's going on in your life. Anything exciting?
Well, it's funny that you described that, as I actually just had a tire get lost in a very similar way.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Seattle with a friend, and we were on I was going to call it a back road. That's got the wrong vibe. A neighborhood road, just like a side road. I was trying to get to a gas station so I could fill up right before driving back over to Spokane. So we were trying to leave town, and on the side road, somebody's just coming, just tearing down this little neighborhood road full of speed. And it's one of those streets that's so narrow that there's only parking on one side. One side of the street is no parking because there's no room. So I'm I'll get over. So I'm trying to get over, and this person just keeps coming full speed, trying to play chicken. And I was like, listen, I just want to be out of the way. I don't even want to, what are we doing here? Cause you're just coming full speed. So he's tearing down and coming straight up to me. And as he starts to pass me, I realized he's probably he's inches away from my mirror. He could take my mirror off if one thing goes wrong. So I just inch over a little bit further, and I'm still rolling forward, and I hit an old crumbling curb. And it just immediately blew the sidewall of my tire. And I was like, cool, now I've got to figure out a tire situation. Not leaving Seattle too quick after all. But that was just one. If I lost 2, I would be livid. I would be so gone. So I'm sorry that happened. That really sucks.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but again, it's one of those things that I was telling you before. I'm actually in a really healthy state of mind. So the things that aren't in my control, I'm kind of yeah, that's fine. It's more that, again, it's always the financial stuff. It's the only thing that's nerfing me right now is just I can't afford this right now. But
which is why, to our listeners, John will not be posting his Cash App or Venmo because he's too stubborn. But what you should do is you should stalk him until you figure out his identity information. And instead of taking money from his bank accounts, you should put money into them. That's what we're going to be calling for that. It's going to be a new movement. Save John Werner, and we're just gonna break into all of his financial accounts and just keep dumping money into it.
This is the hardest thing to not support. But it is funny too because I lost my debit card this past week too, so I had to report it as lost. So I can't even use that bank account right now. And it's just ugh, this is a nightmare. Lily, how are you doing? What's been going on with you?
It's funny. I actually also lost my debit card last weekend.
Such a mess.
It got replaced pretty immediately though, so that's extremely convenient. I've never had that happen before. I usually have to wait 7 to 10 business days, which is just the worst.
Wait, how many days did it take?
I realized it was lost. I mean, I would have had to have lost it on Saturday because that's when Sammy got married, and I was, doing all kinds of shit. And I guess I probably noticed Sunday sometime, maybe Saturday night, but probably Sunday. And I went to go just report it as lost and order a new one on Monday, and they were able to print me a new one literally in the bank.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
That's really so cool.
I mean, it took a few minutes.
The future is here, everyone.
What? Yeah.
I probably should go in to my credit union. I just did it through the app, but it might actually be worth it to go in and see if that helps.
Because I've called before, and like when I've called to replace it, like they had only gotten this machine like a few weeks ago, like it was pretty new to them. But when I had called before, it like takes 7 to 10 days to receive in the mail, and it's just so annoying.
Yeah.
But
well, to all y'all out there who have missing tires or debit cards,
wait, I have more news besides that.
Okay,
me.
no, go ahead.
Do tell.
I do have
more to say too than them.
Yeah, I'm like, I have more than just my debit card getting lost. I'm not a total loser.
I kind of love the update on us being like, we have no tires or debit cards. We're
got muted.
I didn't. No, she's just coughing because of all the weed.
No, that's not why. You're such an asshole. You are such an asshole. Just because this is your podcast doesn't mean that you are above being put in your place. Absolutely ridiculous.
I love you too.
I got accepted to grad school on Tuesday.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Shit. Yeah. Cheers to you, Lily. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not all lost debit cards.
Unbelievable.
In this spirit, I finished my first year of grad school. I finished my first year of grad school. We'll just put it there.
Yay. I am not even considering grad school.
Good. Don't consider it. Stay where you're at.
You haven't started it yet. Are you sure you should be saying don't?
Well, don't do it until you like have a plan, like until you have a reason to do it. Like,
yeah, I have zero reason to do it right now.
Well, I just think it's silly in general to go to college or back to college unless you have a specific reason.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I told Chris a big reason I went back to grad school is I was just tired of saying I have a Bible degree.
No, and that is 100% the reason that I would.
Yeah,
is
that's
like
a good
just
enough
to get
reason.
rid of that being the top of my resume. Because if I could just be like, oh yeah, I have a master's in such and such from this like normal state school, then it would just immediately feel like, oh yeah, I'm a human being that's normal. But when the people are like, did you go to school? And I'm like, yep. And then they're like, oh, well, say more. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to.
Actually, on that
because when I do,
point,
you're going to have questions.
Well, on that point, Chris, I was going to ask both of y'all. I'll start with Lily. Like, obviously, all three of us have religious trauma of sorts. Maybe I shouldn't say obviously, but it feels a little obvious. We're on a podcast called The Cult of Christianity. We probably got religious trauma. Lily, like, what do you feel like your relationship is with your religious trauma this year compared to others?
Ooh.
Wait, you cut out a little bit. What is my relationship to religious trauma versus other trauma? Is that what you mean?
No, this year compared to like other years, like in the year of our Lord 2023, like, do you feel like your religious trauma is like what do you feel like your relationship is with it? Because I feel like our relationship with our trauma changes over time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting question. I almost don't really think about it much, especially in comparison to how I used to. I feel a lot more on the outside of it. And it, like, I'm aware that it's something that I went through and that I'm like, as far as years, it wasn't that long ago that I was a Christian. I think I stopped calling myself a Christian when I was 22. And I only, turned 27 last month. So as far as years, it's been most of my life that I was a Christian / being under religious trauma. But as far as my relationship with it, I don't really think about it that much. I do have a project coming up for school next quarter where I'm going to be directly talking with an evangelizer at Pride that I'm happy to talk more about.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk more about that if you want. And I am preparing myself for that to be really triggering for me because I expect it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, can you say more about what you mean by like past it? Because in some ways I relate, and in other ways I obviously, with the work I do, like I'm dealing in it all the time. But so I'm just kind of interested what when you compared to like other years, like I'll put it this way, like 2 years ago, for example, like what was your relationship versus like now?
It was probably maybe a little bit more on the defensive side. I think that I've gotten much less defensive and angry about my religious trauma and about Christianity in general. And for me specifically, I think that has had a lot to do with the school that I'm going to. I'm going to a liberal arts university that has forced me to reevaluate Christianity under as much of a non-white lens as I have access to. And that has kind of, I think, made me step outside of myself and my own religious trauma and kind of evaluated Christianity as, all right, I do know that it is harmful for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. But it's made me, I think, step outside of my own defensiveness and recognize that defensiveness does stem from trauma, and to address what that trauma is.
Very well put. Yeah. And I think there's always like that tension, right, of like, you know, wanting to like speak truth and like be against like systemic abuse and stuff, but then like also being like, where am I coming from on this issue? Right. Like, am I coming from an angle of just like bitterness and just like upset with what happened to me and just making that form my thoughts? Because that's a question I have to wrestle with all the time. Because obviously I'm dealing in a very antagonistic way with Christianity with this podcast. I would argue a lot of the time the antagonism is more put on me than what I'm trying to do. But you know, it's still something I wrestle with. Like, am I trying to like, just like heal my past self through this work? Because like, while that may be okay, it's like, it's just important to recognize that and make sure it's not that the religion I claim to have left still isn't controlling me, right? And still isn't like making me like act in a reactive way and like keep me from being who I want to be. At least that's where I can relate to you on that. And also it makes sense as you're studying like therapy in like a very broad sense too, that like personal faith is such a different thing than like what systems do. And it's so important to like be respectful of people's like personal faith, because one gets them through a lot. And also people's like communal faith, like you're saying, like the non-white lens of like understanding that somehow or another Christianity has done some pretty crazy, incredible things for certain groups that were marginalized. And so being able to recognize that is important. So that's cool. Like, I'm sure that's been like kind of freeing and almost relaxing to like get there, you know, like with your religious trauma. Because I know initially, at least for me, when I first left Christianity, boy, that was not how I was thinking at all.
It's become freeing. I would say it feels more freeing at this point. It wasn't at first. I very much just felt like I wasn't being listened to. And like my experience wasn't being listened to. And I think it really took a lot of just self-honesty to be like, no, Lily, like you are very used to not being listened to, and you are emotionally tied to your trauma, and that's okay. But now it's time for you to listen to another lens.
Wow. Well, I admire you. You're incredible for being able to do that, because I also like, I feel that I'm not listened to also I'm the youngest. So like I've got two things going for me that make me go like, no one's listening to me. Yeah. It's like, no one's listening to me. But
as the oldest, I'd like to pipe up and say, I also actually feel that way. So, but I only have one thing going towards that. Not my, no, actually, no, being the oldest also means not being listened to in a different way, because the parents don't listen to you because they're like, no, we're going to figure this out. We're going to do it right. And then eventually after you're thoroughly messed up, then they're like, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe we should listen to the kid a little bit more, see what they want.
Well, Chris, same question to you. Like, what's your relationship this year with your religious trauma compared to others?
In the year of our Lord to 2023.
Yeah.
This month I'm coming up on, I think 6 years since the significant religious trauma that kind of started to send me on a permanent spiral out of my faith.
I remember.
And you were with me. We lived together at that time. We've come a long way.
Wow.
Come a long way since then. And I literally, just you asking that question is what made me realize that that's next week. So that feels good because I didn't even really think about it. I just am at this point where it does now feel distant. I've been out of it for a while. I've been processing through my faith and what I believe or don't believe for about 6+ years now. And for most of that time now, I've just been kind of floating free and just been I don't hold to a specific religious belief. And that's been really healing for me. It took a while to be comfortable in that space, but once I started to become comfortable, I've really adapted to it and feel now, and I'm in a place where I feel just feel content. I feel happy. I don't feel the kind of fear that I used to feel. The transition was really traumatizing. Just going through this complete unraveling of everything that I believed and everything that I thought about myself and the world and the universe, and to have that kind of all just pulled out. I often described it as a rug being pulled out from under you. Mm-hmm. That was really difficult. But now this year, I would say I'm in a place where I feel incredibly comfortable and pretty damn confident. And that feels really good. I've never been a very confident person, but I'm literally will field questions. I mean, I was joking about the college degree thing. I just had a conversation with a coworker not that long ago, a couple days ago, I think. And they were asking, "Oh, do you go to school?" And I was like, "Oh, I did. Been there, done that, got a degree." And it led to the whole conversation. And it used to be I used to feel so awkward. And now it's just kind of a blip of it's a little awkward, whatever. But now I can just very comfortably be I actually went to Moody Bible Institute, went to this Bible college in Spokane here. I'm not religious anymore, but that's what brought me out here to Spokane. That conversation used to be miserable for me. And now it's just this is my story, just a tiny tidbit. And if you want to ask questions and you want to ask more, then this is an opening for that. And if they don't, then that's totally fine. And I am really thankful to finally be entering into that space of I no longer feel just my hackles rise when people ask about my past. I don't feel super defensive and protective. I need to be on alert. I feel confident in my religious, the space that I am in relationship to religion and in relationship to evangelicalism, in a way that I didn't a few years ago. So even 2 years ago wouldn't have felt comfortable. And now here I am just kind of feeling let's have a conversation. I can tell you about my life and my background. And if that's difficult for somebody else, then we just won't go deeper in it. And I love that I'm entering into this new era, this new space. So
yeah, I love that for you too. I mean, honestly, because I feel so many of those feelings, especially when I just think about when I first started this podcast. I don't think any of the three of us were in the same spot back then. I think we were all kind of not in the same spot. I don't think we were all having the exact same reactions either, but to just know that we've all kind of come far enough to feel comfortable, because I feel that with my religious trauma too. I will say I deal in this a lot just with both my this podcast and my recording. So there are things the thing that's come out more recently is I'm less generally dealing with trauma. It's more things will come up that I haven't explored yet because it's just such a universe, and it was the first 20 plus years of my life. So like there'll be things that it's like, whoa, oh yeah, I forgot that happened at that church, or if I forgot like that sermon, or like something will just come up in the work I'm doing, and that's like I just have to process through it. But now just having the tools to process through it, boy, that's so different and so much less lonely than it was when I was first leaving. Because I mean, that's the thing I remember is just like the anxiety of leaving was just huge when I first left, and it feels like those anxieties are smaller and smaller each day. Like it's like I can confidently own like you're saying, I went to Moody Bible Institute, and there probably is an extra layer of like having a Bible degree that is kind of like, like it's like, because it's so common for people to ask, what did you study? And then for you to have to be like the Bible. And for me, it's even worse. It's like to be a pastor. So like it's something to kind of like backtrack a little bit. But I agree. Like it seems like all of our anxieties have shrunk around it, and that's like huge. And probably, I know for me at least, it's been liberating, and it sounds like it has been for y'all too.
I also,
yeah, absolutely.
I've also noticed that I have similar feelings to what kind of Chris and I have been sharing, or I guess all three of us have been sharing around my old name as well. And I imagine that going by Lily instead of Galilee, which to anyone that like comes out of Christianity immediately recognizes heavily Christian, I think that changing my name has definitely helped me distance myself from the trauma too, because
that's awesome.
Especially when I was working in a small town that tends to inherently, for some reason, be a religious town as well. I would, come across the interaction of like, oh, Galilee, so what church do you go to? And even after I stopped going to church, it was like, oh, neither of us are going to want to have this conversation. And now, right. I mean, yeah. And now I'm very much intending on legally changing my name, at least before I get my master's degree. But it's still Galilee Hosanna on my license. So like when I go to the dispensary or whatever, or like if I get my ID checked, they're like, oh, how do you say your name? And I'm like, oh, I just go by Lily. And they're like, oh, Gay Lily? And I'm like, yep. I'm like, whatever.
You are like, Gay Lily.
Yeah. I'm like, we don't need to get into the pronunciation. Like, I'm just, Gay Lily can be mine. But I no longer feel like my hackles don't feel like raised anymore about it. And if someone like, I've made friends with like a few of the bud tenders at the dispensary that I go to. So like, if they want to talk about it and be like, what the fuck is up with this name? I'm happy to be like, oh, we can talk about it. Here's my background. I grew up super religious, and this is what it means. It means forever praising, never ending praise. I clearly stopped praising. So
irony.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for that update. I'm sure it's just I know the listeners well enough to know that they're on a full spectrum of both religious adherence and religious trauma. So I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do anything. I think it's more just a matter of like figuring out what's right for you, which sounds even more relativistic than I speak a lot of the time. But truly, when it comes to at least personal faith, I'm all on board. There can't be like a good right or wrong spot to be in. And so it's nice for all of us to kind of be like in a more comfortable state than at least we were at one point. For me, at least, certainly than I was when I was a Christian. Holy crap. I was never comfortable with my faith. And so like to just be comfortable now is a cool feeling. It's been a hell of a season, y'all. It started off real great with Ashadea, who, started off talking about abortion this season, which was coming in strong. But she just spoke so beautifully, and she's so like elegant and fearless. I love how she kind of explores deconstruction through the lens of abortion rights, because I feel like that's like not an uncommon thing. To kind of have like an issue that brings clarity to some of the environment that you're in. She also has an excellent podcast herself, and she does incredible work at Girl Talk HQ. And I love everything she produces. So shout out to Asha. The next episode was one with Rabbi Mike. I got to just read this real quick and then we're going to move on. So this is what I have to say about Rabbi Mike. I still have respect for Rabbi Mike and the work that he has done. However, I was disappointed to recently learn that he tends to become overly defensive, even to peers, to the point of gaslighting. And this became apparent when this past year he made a non-funny post on Twitter that could easily be interpreted as transphobic. And despite eventually taking the post down, he was very aggressive and condescending towards many individuals, including trans folk, who offered criticism and even went so far to block them, citing cancel culture and saying that people wanted his blood. And when I attempted to approach him quite gently and privately, he insulted me and implied I was anti-Semitic and ended up blocking me on Instagram. So while I'm unsure if Rabbi Mike is just going through something personal or I don't know what's going on with him, I just believe it's important to acknowledge that there are individuals in this space who mean well, but may struggle to maintain empathy in the face of criticism. And it's important to avoid placing anyone, including myself, in this space on a pedestal and just remain vigilant, particularly towards men who present themselves as allies and cannot accept criticism, especially when they're offered with good faith and intentions, just criticism. And when they respond with fragility and anger, it's a red flag. So I've decided to leave his episode up. I think he says a lot of many valuable things in that episode. But please note that I never endorse anything that any of my guests do fully. Who I can't control what they do all the time, and I don't want to. And please don't harass Rabbi Mike. But if you're going to support his work, do it with a sound and clear mind and evaluate not only the work people do, but the way they conduct it. Enough of that. Lily, you were on the next episode with Sierra, and y'all were both awesome. And it is to date the only episode I think I've ever cried on an episode. So how was that for you? Was that good for you? Was that a good episode for you?
There's no way that's true.
That much though? I get choked up.
You've cried on, I think, every episode. Has it just been 2 episodes with both Lily and Sierra on the same?
I guess that's true. I cried a little bit on Patriarchy.
Because you cried on that one.
Yeah. You started to cry on the Patriarchy one. And I feel like I've been on other episodes with you that you cried. I just can't name them. Maybe the mental health one.
I know I get emotional, but I feel maybe I just remember it so viscerally on Christian counseling. That's what you and Sierra were on. And it was towards it, I just got so I was crying. There were tears, actual tears going down my face.
That's you in therapy for you.
Yeah. Well, and it was also one of the longer episodes because there was just so much to talk about when it comes to Christian counseling. So I don't know. Well, how did you feel during the episode, afterwards, listening back, all that good stuff?
I really enjoyed that episode. I feel like we could record it again and talk about just as much stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that episode. I really enjoyed getting to hear more about Sierra's experience because quite a bit of that was new information for me as far as her background.
Me too. Hence the tears.
It's a roller coaster. That one.
Yeah. I really felt for her. I feel like she and I could talk a lot because I obviously have a lot to say when it comes to counseling and therapy. I think I was a little bit annoyed with myself afterwards because I was so caught up on the way that counseling and mental health is healthcare. And it's not that it's not healthcare, but I wish that I had been a little bit less caught up because I might have been less surprised by the way that healthcare is being practiced by non-licensed practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not like I can control being surprised, but I can control being wrapped up or, in counseling being healthcare. I think it's just so difficult for me to conceptualize the wrapping up of mental health into spirituality, because even though that is my background that I came from, where mental health wasn't talked about or discussed at all, it was spiritual warfare that was discussed and addressed. So thinking along that line of logic, like, yeah, of course, I can see why Christian counseling would not be considered healthcare. It would be considered part of spiritual care. I think it just upsets me so much that people practice something that affects people in a way that is healthcare and call it something else.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's upsetting, truly. And Chris, I know you listened back to it too, since it's your wife. But like, what was? I don't know. Did you have any like? Was there something that struck you like that either your wife said or Lily said during that episode? Because I mean, there was so much good stuff. Lily, I understand what you mean, but like, you kind of coming at it from that healthcare angle, I think even clarified the severity of the issue even more. Yeah. To like, because of your education and understanding of it as healthcare, to understand what Christians are doing, or at least this version of Christian counseling is doing, like, it only illuminates how bad the problem is. But I don't know, Chris, did you have thoughts on that episode too?
No, I was going to say the same thing, actually. Obviously, like for me, the story that Sierra's telling was not new to me. Right. So that part wasn't shocking. What was impactful was actually hearing kind of Lily's responses and reactions to it, and just having that kind of like, it's therapeutic almost in a way where like when you share your story and somebody who's completely outside of the cult goes, what the fuck? You know, like just like to have somebody like in that sphere. And for Lily, like who's in and out, like very much familiar, grew up in this, like has all of that, but also is currently in the process of like, was like just in that space of like learning about like how to approach mental health services and providing care in that way. And that perspective of like, well, this is a form of healthcare. Going from that, hearing these things and going, are you for real right now? Like, this isn't real. Is like, this is insane. Like, I think that really drives home just how traumatizing and how not good, not healthy the situation was, or situations were. I found that really impactful to listen to it, because it felt like a really potent foil to like the story that Sierra was sharing. Like, as I was listening to it, mostly stuff that I'd already heard before. But to have that kind of reactive response to it, to kind of point out like, this isn't just like bad, like this is like incredibly toxic or incredibly unhealthy. So I personally really valued that. And it actually really stood out to me as a like feature of that whole episode. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I think it was what I was feeling so strongly during the episode too, was just like this whole, like, just feel, I could almost feel, I had a lot of bad Christian counseling experiences too. So just like, imagine it, like, it was very easy for me to put myself in Sierra's shoes, and it was just like, and to just have that like emotion of like, oh, this is terrible. Like, this is not just, like you said, it's not just like bad in the sense of it like a mistake or like not best practices. It was like, no, this is like, the last thing you want to do is when you're trying to heal from trauma, go to a place that gives you more. And so like to just hear that was just like visceral. So it's a great episode. Yeah.
I could really feel myself even just in my body getting really defensive and angry for the experiences that you guys had, or that anybody would have, because it is healthcare abuse, whether the folks that are practicing Christian counseling or this alternative form of counseling recognize it is healthcare abuse. And I'm not coming from a place of only talk therapy is the only form of therapy. I don't believe that at all. But to approach mental health under a spiritual guise only exclusively, it puts lives in danger. And that doesn't mean that you can't include spirituality in counseling. I don't believe that either. I think that the two can be joined, but having exclusively spirituality as a form of counseling in church is just it's sad. It can lead to really sad results.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great episode. Now I want to go back and listen because it's been a second. I'm like I want to go back and listen because it's such a good episode. Right after that, I interviewed a lifelong friend, Jacob. That was a much more like fun, lighthearted episode. It was also my first in studio episode, which came with its own challenges, as y'all will hear later. I have some outtakes from that coming up. But it was fun, and it was cool to kind of hear like a prototypical private Christian school, at least a rich one, like kind of problematized, but not in like an over dramatic way, just more in a casual way by someone who still identifies as Christian. So I had fun doing that. Afterwards, probably one of my newest, most like favoritist friends, we talk all the time, is Ashley Dunstan. She's a brilliant author, brilliant writer. Love her to death. She's the best. That was the one on body image. And I just loved her ability to talk about things so clearly and wonderfully. And she'll be back, I'm sure. And then after that was about sex with Erica Smith, Melissa Spires, Claire Jones. It was by far the most popular episode of the season. People click on sex. What can I say?
Big surprise.
Yeah. They brought so much insight, all three of them, like from different angles, which was so fun. I love their commentary. They had wonderful chemistry with each other, which was fun because it was the first time all four of us were talking at once, and the chemistry was just on point. And as you two know, I don't like talking about sex. But I felt so comfortable and so safe talking with them. And that was because they struck this nice balance of not being too serious or solemn about it. But it also wasn't just like joking and silliness, which like both of those kind of like make me feel uncomfortable. So like they just struck a beautiful balance. They're born leaders, all of them, and I just hope I get to work with them more in the future. That was a very, very good episode. So that's.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to quip that sex doesn't sell, voyeurism does.
There you go. There you go. So if you want to listen, all right, hold on. If you want to listen, I guess is it voyeuristic? Is it voyeuristic to listen to people talk about sex? It's like a second tier voyeur. Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, keep clicking and keep subscribing.
Sounds like whatever works.
Whatever works. It helped me. So keep doing. It was fun though, because so I'm sure people noticed this. Maybe they didn't, but like I had 3 episodes back to back that were sex, drugs, rock and roll. And so the next one was drugs, and that was with Devannon. Devannon is just a fascinating character. I love his energy. I've been on his podcast now 3 times, I think. Sex, Drugs, and Jesus is his podcast. I love his energy, his humor. He's a very profound thinker. He's willing to talk about things that many are not, and he will always hold the record for the most explicit language on the podcast. That boy got a mouth.
When you started an episode by being like, I normally censor, but for this one, there was no point. Like, that's not what you said, but it was just like the vibe of just being like, you know what? Fuck it.
Well, it's funny too. I can't remember if I left it in or edited it out, but at one point he goes like, I should probably stop swearing. You'll have to edit all this out. I'm like, no, don't. We're just going to have an explicit episode. Like, and part of it's too, because I don't want to limit his personality. Like, it's so part of him to be vulgar in like the best way. And so like, I didn't want to limit that. So Devannon, love you. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. The next one was a guy named Scott Okamoto and a guy named Chris. Talk about some real ones. Chris, let's just fangirl. How much do we love Scott?
Those are always my favorite episodes, Scott and Chris. It's always my favorite. Every time I'm like, time to drive to school and listen to Scott and Chris. And
yep.
Okay, but like for real, John will be like, hey, record an episode with Scott. And I'm like, bet. immediately. Just like, all right, I'm there. Because he's just genuinely such a pleasant person to like interact with and to talk to.
He seems like such a homie. I would love to grab a drink with him.
100%. Which like everybody listening, like make sure to go check out, like buy his book. I'm saying that as someone who hasn't yet, but I need to. I just remembered like, oh yeah, he just released his book. He's such a homie, and so like perfect opportunity to plug Scott. Definitely go check out his book. Check out his podcast too. It's really good stuff. I was only featured on it once. I'm just saying his podcast was great.
Humble brag.
It was brag. Yeah. No. I'm saying like it's not for me. It's for him. He's fantastic, and everything that I've. Yeah. This isn't for me. It's for you. You need to listen to that podcast. You need to check out his book. Scott is like, he's such a great guy.
Yeah. We were talking about rock and roll, and it was probably the most laid back, like informal episode I've ever done, where it was kind of like, I don't know, we'll just talk about rock and roll. I don't know. But it's so natural. I mean, he's such an organic person. That sounds weird, but like truly, like everything he says just sounds like the most natural thing ever. So yeah, that can never say enough about it. Just finished like 2 or 3 days ago, his book, Asian American Apostate. The subtitle is Finding Myself While Leaving an Evangelical University. And it's so good. I can't endorse it enough. Right after that was Sierra. She came back, and honestly, it was my favorite episode of the season. I'm pretty sure. She's so well prepared every time, well spoken every time. And I've said this many times before. She should start her own podcast. I don't know. Gush on your wife some more, Chris.
You want me to gush on my wife?
I mean, I can keep doing it, but I don't want to, drive a wedge.
I
have such a crush on your wife.
As you should.
I had a crush on you in 6th grade, and now it's moved on to your wife.
that is actually like the story of my life. I think I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Actually, this is how it works. Is people are like, Chris is so nice. He seems so great. Like I like Sierra.
But then there's
She's
Sierra.
Beautiful.
I didn't know that was an option.
She's a god. Yes. Dude, honestly, I feel like the standard is most men are like really protective and jealous, and they're just gonna be like, oh, don't look at my wife, this is my person. And meanwhile I'm here, I'm like, if you don't think my wife is hot, you're a terrible person and I hate you. Everyone should be attracted to her. Everyone should be in love and have a crush on my wife. Yes, that's exactly it. Like, I'm just like, it's like if somebody just tells me like, oh, I hate coffee. I'm like, okay, I hate you. It's like, don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Don't have bad taste in my home.
That episode, that was actually really fun for me to listen to. As our listeners are probably aware now, Sierra, the person we're talking about, is married to me, and she's
again
a
with the humble
cool
brag.
Person. Yep, dude, humblest brag you can have is like, this person, I married this person. Is it more humbling to say they're married to me, or for me to say I'm married to them? I'm married to them.
I think you gotta say I married them. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Anyway. Sierra, wow, I like lost my train of thought thinking about my wife. That's really cute. So
that about yourself.
I know, but it's true. So I listened to that episode in its entirety, and broadly speaking, that shouldn't have been new information, and most of it wasn't. But the way that she managed to present the narrative, tell the story, and then present a lot of incredibly interesting information and statistics. Like, I don't know, I walked away from that just kind of stunned. And even in the lead up to recording the episode, she like walked me through a lot of her research, because she did straight up research for that episode. She went hard. And she's like sharing this stuff with me and like, check this out. And she's like literally built a couple of small like well, maybe she didn't build graphs. She showed me some graphs, but she's like showing me stats and like telling me like, check this website out. Look at what I found. Look at this. And I just like was sitting there kind of being like, how do I even know this person, much less live with them? I'm married to this person. She's like, yeah. So anyway, she's my hero. I listened to that episode and I was like, you're my hero. Just absolutely astounding. I mean, the story is brutal to listen to. Her story is incredibly heavy. She's been through a lot, and it sucks, and it's not good, but she manages to present and share that story with people really well in a way that's accessible. And in this case, I think was really helpful for just being thought provoking too, just to make somebody go, this is more complicated than I thought it was. Like there's a lot here. And like, yes, she is an example of one story, but that story is one that can kind of help maybe shake the foundations a little bit for people who have assumptions about adoption and fostering, for them to hear the story and be like, okay, so like, it's not as straightforward as I thought. And well,
it did for
really
me.
powerful.
I mean, it really shook my foundation, like for, you know, my typical method of doing the podcast when I host is like, I'll take some notes and then I leave it up to the guest if they want to like peek at the notes beforehand or not. Sierra always like takes my notes as almost like an assignment and then just freaking like goes ham on it. And so, but it was so funny because her research got so deep that I ended up like throwing away my notes. And I was just like, I just need to keep getting her to talk because there's no point in me contributing anything because what she was contributing was so amazing and in depth. And again, I think she needs her own podcast, like truly.
That's like my goal, but I don't put in any effort for it.
John sends me notes and I look at them and go, that'll be interesting. And then I forget about them. John
sends me notes and then I see an unread email and then it gets deleted after the podcast is over.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, and there's no right or wrong. I like both. I like both winging it and doing the preparation. But when it comes to preparation, no one beats Sierra.
No, it's a fact.
Yeah. Talking about winging it though, my friend Callie was in town. We talked about death. That also is another episode that just like personally impacted me a lot because I don't grieve death well. And so like getting to talk to a funeral director / mortician / death biz guru and who happens to be like a friend that I'm a little bit in love with. She knows that. But like
speak for yourself. So am I.
Yeah. It's crazy. She's literally like on my list of just top people to exist, like friends or not. Like I'm just like, yeah, this is like an amazing person. I love the way she talks. She's so kind. She's so funny. And she's just incredible. So she got to visit, we got to hang out for a few days and literally we recorded right before we jetted off to the airport to say bye. I could listen to her talk for hours. I do listen to her talk for hours all the time. We call each other a lot. No, it's a long time. Yeah. Just death. Just listen to it. Like, it's also like, it was so short. Like the interview is like the whole episode's less than an hour. It's the shortest interview I've ever done. And she just like fit so much in that information in that like small amount of time. I could gush on her all day long.
I'm actually mad, John.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm mad because I didn't even know about this episode. Somehow I missed it in the feed.
Yeah. You gotta listen.
Heck?
Surprisingly, I don't cry. Surprisingly, wow. I don't cry in that episode, which is truly mind-blowing.
Shocking.
Yeah, I get close at the end. But
Chris, she's like really pretty too. I know you don't have socials anymore, but you should get on Sierra's maybe if she still has.
No, so actually, here's the funny thing. We're going to go on a little sidetrack here. Sierra literally doesn't exist on social media.
I forgot about that.
I actually have social media, and I do lurk on social media.
Okay, you should
but
go.
They're all secret.
You should go
so you're telling me that I need to go stalk this person because she's really pretty?
She's
on
gorgeous.
Instagram. It's on Instagram. It's
cool.
Undertake Care. It's like Undertaker, but Undertake Care.
Her aesthetic is super cool too.
Yeah, Yeah, she's the best. Also, the best is the next person. This was a great season. I'm just like looking at this guest list. Like, this is stupid good. Miley came back, which Chris knew Miley at Moody too. We had fun. We talked about suffering. And so, we talked about kind of like the martyrdom complexes that are present in Christian communities and just the pain that's there and how people cope. She's brilliant. I'm really shocked she's not like a top tier academic, like teaching at a college somewhere. Miley's brilliant. She's so smart, great vocabulary, and she'll be back, I'm sure. I talked to her. She's actually one of the few friends. Hold on, I'm going to look this up. I talk to her every day. Our Snap streak is at 594. So
oh my God.
we be talking.
Not you referencing your Snap streak.
My Snap streak. Yeah.
Yeah, John, how old are you?
Listen, we're going to move on. Then the next guest who was on was Kit Morgan, and they are awesome. They came on to talk about gender. They're probably one of the most concise and thoughtful and nuanced therapists that I've ever talked to, especially when it comes to ideas of like gender and sexuality. I love that they were so open and willing to talk about gender, especially in a timestamp where that is increasingly scary to do, and especially if you're not cisgender. So they are worth a follow on Instagram if you have social. I guess Chris is shit out of luck again. But
I have it. I just don't. I don't engage with it.
I followed Kit on Instagram. They're really cool. They are really cool people.
Yeah. Kit's the best. And they have great materials share. So I definitely recommend check them out. And then the last guest was Scott again, because the Cult of Christianity, it's basically just becoming an R. Scott Okamoto fan podcast, and that's fine with me.
This is a Scott fan account.
Yeah, but it was funny because it was the first time on a podcast, at least. I interviewed him for like a profile I did on him, but like this was the first podcast we had without Chris involved. And it was just Scott and I the whole time. We talked about diversity. It was really super good and like nuanced and just like a great conversation about how the word diversity is actually kind of more used in kind of a kind of like a justifying bad behavior way than like actually trying to create a diverse world or even represent the diverse world we have. And so it was a great conversation, and I love how Scott speaks. But it was funny because since we did it without Chris, Scott sent us a little message. And so I want to play that for you right now, Chris. He was actually doing this to be nice and like say like nice things at the end of the episode. But there was one thing he wanted to say to you, Chris. So let me play this real quick.
Okay.
I love
to the Cult of Christianity podcast, John Verner. Wait, no, first to Chris. I feel really guilty for having allowed John to interview me without you being there. It didn't feel right. I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyway, and I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. So, next time, I will not let that happen again. Anyway, to John, man, keep doing what you're doing. You are having the conversations that need to be had, and I hope the people who need to hear them are hearing them. And if anyone is searching for community or for resources or just ideas and conversations, you got to check out the Cult of Christianity podcast and get in touch with John. At the very least, subscribe, leave great reviews, because this is good stuff. Always love coming on. I loved having you guys on my podcast. And yeah, I'm looking forward to all the things you're going to do in the future.
He's so cute.
What a homie.
Wow.
What a homie.
What a true homie. That was heartfelt, and I was moved.
I love his voice too. Can we talk about how soothing his voice is?
Oh, it's
yes.
It's the best. I should say I went through his book through Audible. Like I listened to his book because his audiobook is key.
That's awesome. He recorded his own audiobook.
Yep.
I love it when authors record their own audiobooks. It's my preferred way to hear someone's story.
Definitely.
Through someone telling it. Like Jeanette McCurdy's audiobook, way better.
Yep. yeah, this could also be a Jeanette McCurdy fan podcast too, very easily. But yeah, Scott's the best. There were this year that I did a few more monologues than I'd necessarily prefer to, but at the same time, it was kind of freeing to like do some monologues. I enjoy doing them in just a different way. It just works my brain a little differently. But yeah, overall guest list was 10 out of 10 this year. Super stoked. And I'm just looking forward to having some familiar faces back next year. And then also, who knows who we'll meet next. I mean, it's really exciting what I get to do and the people I get to connect with and talk to. I'm lucky. I'm truly lucky to do what I do. It's truly fun. Let's all take a drink and then get into some more fun stuff, shall we? Chris, what are you drinking right now?
Well, we delayed the start of this episode for a while, so I have now spent a good amount of time drinking some Wild Turkey 101 bourbon, which is a little potent. So I am going to stop drinking that, and now I'm drinking some good old vitamin R.
Rainier because it rains here.
Rainier because it rains here. It actually is raining here, but this is a West Side beer. I don't even know if Rainier is actually from Washington anymore. Pretty sure it started in Washington, but it's your hipster cheap beer.
Listen, West Side is the best side, especially when it comes to Washington.
Listen, you're not wrong
when it comes to Washington.
You're kind of wrong.
How?
No, she's not, Chris. I don't.
Look how defensive she got. Look at that. Look how fast she got defensive.
You live in a butthole. I fucking hate Spokane.
Because East Washington.
I know you hate Spokane,
East
but
Washington
you're a dumbass.
is a butthole. The only good thing that has ever come out of Eastern Washington is Sydney Sweeney.
Listen, what about Bing Crosby?
You beat his kids. Rough example.
No.
You can do that with anyone. Name someone who hasn't beat their children. I'm just kidding. That's going to be the darkest joke I make for the night. Probably not, actually, because I just started this tall boy. No, listen, here's the thing. Western Washington is by far the most beautiful part of the country I've ever been to. I think it might outdo. In some ways, it outdoes Hawaii, at least in the summer. Although I love Hawaii.
Bold.
I know. I went there. Hawaii is an incredibly gorgeous place, and there's
gorgeous.
There's nothing like it.
Nothing like
But
it.
Western Washington, also nothing like it.
Also nothing like it.
But here's the thing. Western Washington doesn't have seasons. It has beauty, and then it has depression for like 3/4 of the year. And I would move back in a heartbeat with the right circumstances. If I could find the right living situation, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But that said, I have grown to really love living in Eastern Washington. Now, most of Eastern Washington is in fact a wasteland. It's hideous, it's ugly, and it's a bunch of shit mixed with farmland, which is only existing because we irrigate it. But Spokane is in a river valley on the edge of
Spokanistan.
Spokanistan is right on the edge of some foothills. So you're just like entering into a whole new region of the country, and it starts to become beautiful again. We got trees, we got plants, we got pines, we got wildlife. It's beautiful.
But it's a little
conservative for my taste. You know, John, just because you were depressed the entire time you were here because of decisions you made, I'm not gonna.
Chris, I was just gonna say, if I could interject as far as the seasons of beauty and depression, if I might interject, I would argue that depression is also a season.
Yes. In Western Washington, it's a season that just never goes
Lily,
away.
you already have therapy face. Y'all have to
seriously.
check on Spotify because she said something and then just had that look of just like.
So I get to experience, this is really weird East-West Washington a beef going on a podcast hosted by a person from Atlanta. But I just want to point out that like
here in Spokane, Washington, I get to experience 4 delightful seasons, except winter. But that's a personal prejudice.
I was going to say, like, winter over in Eastern Washington is terrible. It's
well,
worst.
It depends on your opinions. If you like snow, it's great. And I know people who are insane and like snow. I don't like snow because I've had bad experiences driving in it. And I live in a capitalistic hellspace where I have to actually drive to work in order to pay rent or my mortgage. So therefore, I hate snow. But if I could stay home and just enjoy it, then I would be like, wow, it's so pretty outside. And I would love winter as much as I like the other seasons. But that's not the case simply because of necessity and convenience.
So, Lily, what are you drinking?
Fuck off. Wait, Lily, what are you drinking? Can you tell us more about your beverage of choice tonight? And also, I love Western Washington.
Western Washington's great. Eastern Washington sucks.
Beautiful.
Atlanta's better than all of it. Lily, what are you drinking?
It's verifiably false.
Well, I'm doing a twofer. I'm obviously hitting my dab pen because I'm the resident stoner in this podcast.
Yeah, we gotta have one.
Gotta have one. And
John, did you just dab?
Yeah, I was gonna let that. I wasn't
gonna say anything about it.
I was gonna let that slide so that at least audio listeners didn't know. But you know what? Now everybody knows. John
just did the cringiest dab, everybody. And I don't mean like he hit a dab pen.
No, John
he just did
the most dad.
Stupid Vine.
He was just the most dad of dads in the room. Anyway,
dab.
Facts.
So I'm obviously hitting my dab pen because I'm not a loser. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're not a loser, and you live in Washington, so you're actually free to smoke whatever you want.
I don't know about
Unlike
whatever.
Lily, what are you drinking?
Okay, John has an agenda we have to stick to. I'm also drinking Costco boxed white wine, which is now like the color of water because of my ice melting.
Is it good?
Hold on, you put ice in your white wine?
Well, yeah, it's boxed, and we didn't keep the box in the fridge, so.
R.I.P.
It's not
to your wine.
Well, it's not my wine, and it's not my choice. But I did want to make having it cold.
I don't know why that was so funny to me.
I don't know why that was so hilarious to both of you.
It just sounded like a
not
funny
my wine, not my choice.
Yeah, it was like a weird like
a protest chant.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard too. I heard like a protest thing, like not my wine, not my choice. I'm like, what are we saying?
Yeah, I wish I was drinking wine right now.
I don't even know what you're for or against with that.
We could probably pause so that Chris can get wine. I also wish that I had my water tumbler.
Y'all can go get whatever.
I like how you assume that I just have like wine ready to go.
You're married to a white woman. Why wouldn't you?
Do you want to know the truth, Lily?
She probably doesn't drink wine.
The reason, as a person who is married to a white woman who does like wine, the reason we don't have wine is because I drank all of it.
Oh.
I should have said that Sierra is married to a white woman.
Yes.
That's canon.
I've made that joke before. She didn't like it.
You're honestly definitely way more Sierra's wife than Sarah is your wife.
I've also made that joke, and she didn't like that one either.
I don't even like gender roles or binaries. I'm totally against it. But having witnessed the two of you, I will verify that there are gender roles in your relationship, and they are reversed.
And they are reversed, and therefore correct. No, so when we during the COVID hellscape, when I was only out of work for like 6 weeks, and she worked from home, so it wasn't an issue for her. But during that period of time, I got to be the housewife, and I was good at it.
Was it your dream?
So I was good at it, and I was fulfilled by it. So I'm just saying that the day comes when she makes enough money, I'm going to go full stay-at-home husband.
I don't remember what movie it was, but there was a movie where, I wish I could remember what it was, but there was this guy that was just saying that his dream was to be a stay-at-home dad.
Don't say anything. I want the people to know you have to go to Spotify to see what was happening over the past minute. We're not going to tell you what
we've been laughing,
but it was very funny. So okay, seriously, do any of y'all need a break before we start being silly?
I would actually like a little potty and rewinding break.
Okay, y'all do your thing. I'll be here. I'll be talking to the audience, but I might edit through it. So y'all just do your thing.
Oh, I don't want to miss any of it.
It won't.
I'm not going to miss any of it.
I have nothing planned.
My headphones are going to stay connected, so I'm just going to be sitting here. I'm going to go just be peeing, and I'm just going to be listening to John's voice while I pee, which sounds terrible, but
that's just a regular day for you then.
Yep, exactly.
Sounds like a Tuesday.
It does, specifically.
All right, y'all. I'm actually also going to step away from the camera and try to find my cat and show you my cat. Again, I'm just trying to get y'all to the video that is going to be on Spotify. It's going to be really funny if the video is not on Spotify because things didn't render or save well, but we'll see. Hold on. Oh. Okay. All right. I just woke him up, so he's grumpy, but here's Louie. Say hi, Louie. Hello. Hello. So yeah, if you go to Spotify, now listen, some podcasters would put this shit behind a paywall. I don't do that because I'm better than every other podcaster. And by the way, I'm drinking vodka. I'm drinking Buffalo Trace vodka. It's pretty good. It's grown on me. What I do is I cut it with lemon juice. Specifically, I have organic lemon juice from Sprouts. And it cuts that stuff very nice. Yeah, so I'm having a good time. I'm feeling it a little bit already, which is great. And it looks like Chris is returning now.
Did you say you got your lemon juice from Sprouts?
Sure.
Pretty sure that's what you said.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that means unless they're from your region.
Sprouts is pretty national.
National?
Yeah,
or just east of the Mississippi National.
I feel like it. No, I've seen a Sprouts in Colorado.
Okay, well,
is there not a Sprouts in Washington?
Not that I've ever seen. No.
Okay, I feel like Sprouts is ubiquitous enough, but
fair.
Are you going to show your kitty? Show us your kitties.
I'm going to show you my kitty.
That's Terry. I know Terry.
This is Terry. She's a sweet girl. She doesn't like being held very much, but she's the sweetest.
Yeah. Terry's been through some shit.
She's been through a lot of shit.
She's had a lot of children.
Yeah.
I'm not
At least 8 that we know of.
Yeah. Yeah, Terry was a street cat until Chris and Sierra blindsided her. That didn't sound right. I meant blindsided, the movie, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh goodness.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she doesn't like being held. She really doesn't. She feels insecure, but
that was an aggressive meow.
She also barely knows how to meow, and so when she does, it sounds really chaotic.
Oh, man.
Bye. Love you.
Yeah, I woke Louie up from a nap, which was probably a mistake.
Yeah, same. But, yeah, if our listeners are really good, maybe I'll introduce them to Simon, and then we'll know true chaos.
Simon is a little bastard. He is.
No, he's literally such a dickhead, and I love him.
Yeah. Oh man.
Sorry, that took a little longer than I wanted it to because I let Roar inside and fed him.
That's okay. We've all been playing with our kitties, so it's fine.
Yep.
Sounds really sexual.
This is a cat sponsored.
It was entirely not sexual because it involved real kitties.
Yeah, I am going to actually, on that note, I'm going to banish Louis because I can tell he's about to get feisty.
He's about to get the demon.
He's about to get into it.
Lily, I want you to know the number of times that Sierra and I quote John and say, "Is this bestiality?" Is incredibly high. And I don't know if you know what I'm referring to.
I know that I've heard him say that, but I don't know if I remember the original time that he said that.
The original time he said that was probably before you guys met, actually. But yeah, he just went on this rant about how it's impossible to define when something becomes bestiality.
Oh my God, and why are you talking about this?
How is it possible?
But now... Well, because at some point things get really complicated. Like when your cat is just like kneading. We're done.
Okay, welcome back. So here's the thing. This season, I tried multiple times to do in studio, quote unquote. They weren't actually in this studio. I am in a soundproof studio, but I recorded once at Jacob's house actually for his episode, and then I recorded here for Callie's, but not in this room. I actually recorded at the dining room table. Recording in different spaces presents challenges that are actually like, there's a way in which remote recording is easier than doing it in person, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's actually true, because it doesn't matter. But I had tech difficulties on both in person and remotely. And so here are some outtakes from sound checks and other technological mishaps that will once again feature our boy R. Scott Okamoto. It'll feature Jacob, and it will feature our favorite funny person, Callie, as well. Hers is really funny. The thing is, so I'll try for the sound check stuff. Just know I'm trying to get them to talk so I can check levels. So I'll just be asking them random questions, and I'm not even listening to what they're saying. And it's pretty funny to hear what people say when they don't think it's going to end up on the episode. So here we go. So what the fuck? Round 2. Go ahead and tell me what you're planning on having for dinner.
Well, that is a good question. That just seems so many different factors that you can't really prepare for. Like now I might be in the mood for Chinese food, could be a couple hours from now, wanting to get some Moe's. So, I mean, there's really no way to tell. I mean, the forecasting is all speculation.
I feel like you're avoiding the question.
I mean, I probably am, but it probably will be Panda Express if we're being honest.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
I mean, you can always go the classic T-Rex route, which nobody would argue with that. But I was always, a big fan of the Velociraptors, even though they weren't, technically the right view, or they weren't portrayed in the correct way through the sense of Steven Spielberg, because they're actually really tiny and probably had feathers.
He's right.
What did you have for breakfast?
So for breakfast this morning, I cooked myself 3 pieces of bacon, made some homemade hash browns with some chopped onions, and had a nice little orange with a cup of coffee.
When you say orange, was it one of the bigger ones or one of the smaller ones?
It was one of the smaller ones. Now that I did mention I had 2 eggs over easy as well that I cooked.
Gotcha. That's over easy. Is that your preferred way of having it?
Well, the way I do it, I put a lid over the top of it, so it's still like runny, but it's not like all yolky. It's still like more of like a lighter color pink. Towards
pink.
Yeah, because if you put a lid over the top of it, it's not going to be yellow. It's going to turn like a pinkish hue to it.
A pinkish hue?
Yes.
I don't know if I've had eggs that have a pinkish hue. Maybe I've had them wrong.
Or maybe I'm just doing something weird. Who knows? I just like my eggs.
It's just, easy listening is how I would describe it.
Looks like we lost
just a step above elevator music. So there wasn't a ton of Chris Lee.
Look like?
And then when there was,
I haven't heard anything.
how it got into it. So I got Striper.
Let's see. Well, what's cool about Zencastr is it still records locally.
Band.
So
they were actually pretty good at first. They were kind of just
by the time it's done, I'll still have his audio.
But I quickly learned that all Christian music was basically just a really shitty copy of regular music. It was like,
I doubt he can
go to the Christian bookstore. Oh, you like U2? Well, you should listen to this band. Or you like Van Halen? You should listen to this band. And they were nothing like it
in the chat.
But that's all they had. So I never really got into Christian music, even though I felt like I should. And I bought records. But I think because I had this sort of foundation of
how you doing,
really great R&B, and then
great
rock.
Cool.
I'm sad because I really want to hear this stuff.
I know.
Oh, which
it's a cliffhanger.
Now he's back.
Oh, did I cut out?
You can hear him.
Scott's responding to me. Can you hear me, Scott?
Oh, yeah, I hear you. I don't hear John.
Can you? I can't hear him. What is happening?
Sucks to be you, John. We lost you. We lost you for a bit there. It was like cutting in and out. But then when John tried to say something, you were not hearing it. And then
oh no, yeah,
it came in and out a bit there.
It still says he's not here for me.
Recording on the timeline.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So I can see him. He's online. John's saying you're not even showing up for him right now.
Oh.
This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is a test. Speaking to the mic real quick.
There's a giant hurricane coming your way.
Okay.
Cyclone Calliope coming through. Tsunamis, waves, rain, ducks, ponds, bread, graham crackers, s'mores.
You gotta quit touching it.
I'm trying to. It keeps falling. You need to wait. I just want to be able to. I'm not leaning forward for this.
Sure.
I only take death laying down, as we all should.
Are you trying to use this?
I was trying to use it. It's just like it's a little bit too. I made it too far away from me. Boom, boom, boom. The mic is in my room. It's good.
And closer is better than farther.
Okay. I put my nose on it.
Keep talking. Test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4.
Y'all means all. I have a t-shirt that actually says y'all need Jesus.
That's funny.
If you'd like me to bring it to you,
I would rather you didn't.
In the mail. I think it could be cute.
I think I'd hate it.
Yeah.
All right. Testing 1, 2. I'm going to go a little quieter. Check. Say check.
Check. Checkers. Chess. Monopoly.
All right, talk at like in real volume.
I'm going to be whispering the whole time though because I'm not caffeinated enough. You got me in a tired state.
I love Callie. Just her stream of consciousness as she's talking. Oh man. Yep. That's how the sausage is made, folks.
Don't say sausage.
Yeah, why did you have to say sausage, John?
Why'd you have to say sausage?
Oh man. Okay, this next game we're gonna play is actually for points, so it matters.
So this is not like Whose Line Is It
Anyway?
Anyway?
Opposite of Whose Line. It's similar enough.
Points matter.
Chris, you've played D&D before.
Yep.
Lily, have you played D&D before?
Once under protest.
Okay, fair enough. So a lot of us play D&D under protest. So basically, I've played D&D a couple times. I'm not an expert or anything, but I kind of have a dream like in the back of my mind to be a DM someday. But it's like one of those dreams that's like I'm not going to actually put in any work to do it. But I found a way to do it for me. So this is what I did. Without naming them, I created D&D character descriptions of Bible characters. And I want y'all to try to guess who it is I'm describing,
right.
based on their things I gave them. We'll say Lily will let you go first. But then we'll just go back and forth till someone guesses the Bible character. It should be, I feel like y'all both are like, y'all will get this. I'm pretty sure pretty easy. So this is the first character description. This is character 1, and you're guessing which Bible character it is. The race is elf. The class is druid. The alignment is chaotic neutral. Here are the personality traits. Character 1 is fiercely independent and does not tolerate being told what to do. They are guided by their own principles and desires rather than any external authority. They are also very in tune with nature and are willing to do whatever it takes to protect it. However, they are not above using underhanded or deceitful tactics to achieve their goals and can be somewhat unpredictable in their behavior. Abilities. As a druid, character 1 has a deep connection with nature and can call upon its powers to aid them in combat. They are also able to control the elements, calling forth storms and creating a wall of thorns to block their enemies. Equipment. Character 1 carries a fruit basket, which they use as a focus for their magic. They wear minimum, lightweight, natural colored clothing that allows them to move freely and blend in with their surroundings. Character 1's alignment falls in the chaotic neutral category. They are guided by their own desires and principles rather than any external laws or authority. They are not actively seeking to do good or evil, but are willing to use whatever means necessary to achieve their goals. Their actions are often unpredictable and can be perceived as selfish, but they are ultimately loyal to their own ideals. So, Lily, who is that character?
I feel like the more description there was, the more confused I got.
And I took some creative liberties for sure.
I'm trying to place a wall of thorns. That's a very specific reference, and I'm trying to think of a wall of thorns in the Bible.
Well, now you got me down myself. I'm going to Google.
Yeah, I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? The two things that are, or the two names that are like coming to mind, it was like Moses or David, but I'm really trying to think of a wall of thorns. And also you said they wear minimal clothing and they have strong connection to animals. And so that really to me kind of indicates maybe either Adam or Eve. Ooh, yeah. Because actually, after they were exiled from Eden, didn't they? I know that there was an angel, but wasn't there also like a wall of thorns or some shit like that? So I don't know about the gender, but I'm going to say either Adam or Eve. But it's not clear to me what gender the character was.
Well, guess one, because Chris gets to guess after you.
Okay.
And I did make all of these gender neutral on purpose to make it tougher.
All right. Well, because of the stressor that you put on animals, and because according to the Bible it was Adam that named the animals, I'm going to go with Adam.
Incorrect.
Oh, okay.
Chris.
Well.
All of my guesses are Old Testament. That was actually really challenging. Moses.
Eric. Incorrect.
Okay.
That was also one of my first guesses, but I was like, Wall of Thorns, I just really can't.
The Wall of Thorns is not ringing a bell.
I also
Y'all
don't know
are focusing
about
way too much on it.
Well, you did kind of make it a key part of the character, so.
Well, okay, so what is it?
Well, no, you can go again, Lily.
No, we got to go again.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep going? Okay.
Yeah.
Was it? All right. Well, okay. I already guessed Adam. Was it Eve?
It's Eve. Good job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't remember. There's definitely like art about Wall of Thorns. I'm kind of trying to Google, but I feel like there is something too. But that was in my head for some reason. So I
think that's in your head, man.
I'm pretty sure that's in your head.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I've seen like images of a Wall of Thorns with Eve. I feel
you've seen images, but it's not biblical, John.
Whatever. I told you I'm playing D&D with Bible characters. All right, I'm taking creative liberties.
I just want to know why is the answer Eve when you put so much stress on the connection with animals?
I mean, she did talk to a snake.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
All right. This is character
She was so
2.
comfortable talking to a snake that she doomed humanity.
Points will escalate each round, by the way. So that one's worth 1, and we'll do 2 the next round. Yada yada.
Oh boy!
Chris, you get first guess on this.
Better with writing these.
Okay. So, Chris, the race is human. The class is bard. The alignment is lawful neutral. Okay. Personality traits. Character 2 is a born leader and natural diplomat with a gift of negotiation and persuasion. They are also known for their wisdom and intelligence and are respected by many for their fair and just rules. However, they can be somewhat vain and prone to indulging in pleasures such as gambling and womanizing. Abilities. As a bard, character 2 possesses an array of skills and abilities, including musical talent, quick thinking, and a silver tongue. They are also a master of the art of diplomacy, able to sway even the most stubborn of opponents to their side. Additionally, they have a vast knowledge of history and culture and are able to use this to their advantage in many situations. Equipment. Character 2 carries a golden lyre, which they use to inspire and enchant those around them. They also wear regal robes and carry a scepter, which symbolizes their royal authority. And character 2's alignment falls in the lawful neutral category. They are guided by a strict code of conduct and desire for order and stability, but are not necessarily aligned with any morality. They are willing to work within the law to achieve their goals, but they may also bend or break the rules when necessary.
So I had one in mind, but I think I'm going to shift it slightly. And I'm going to go with David.
Incorrect. Good guess, but incorrect.
Damn it. Okay, so then
Lily, what do you think?
Lily?
David was my guess.
Yeah.
So
mislead.
Your fucking golden lyre was annoying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have guessed my other guess.
I feel like is there any way for you to post these in the chat so I can skim over a little bit?
I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay. Just because it's hard for me to remember that much, especially while intoxicated.
Yeah.
Okay. And hopefully you'll take out whatever pauses are annoying.
I'm very proud of myself for these, by the way.
I'm sure you are. Damn.
Oh. Wait.
Can we ask if it's Old Testament or New Testament?
It's Old Testament. I'll give you that. It's Old Testament.
It's definitely Old Testament. I just thought of a new person. Well.
So thematic, the Old Testament.
Was it King Solomon?
You nailed it, Lily. 2 points to you.
That was my first guess, and I went with David an idiot because of the golden lyre, John.
Yeah, that was cruel of me to throw that in there.
I'm at least
he was a musician.
Getting on the first guess.
I started to think about Joseph.
Oh, interesting.
Why?
No.
Yeah.
Why Joseph?
Oh, that would have been a good one.
There was
I'll go ahead. Spoiler alert. Spoiler: none of them are Joseph, but he would have been a good one to do. That's definitely.
He's a great character.
Yeah. All right, Lily, it's back to you to guess first. This one doesn't have a race because its class is animal companion. Alignment is neutral. Personality traits. Character 3 is a loyal and dependable companion, always by their master's side. They are quick-witted and have a keen sense of danger, which makes them invaluable in combat. They also have a mischievous streak and enjoy playing practical jokes on their master and other companions. Abilities. As an animal companion, Character 3 has a heightened sense of has heightened senses and instincts that allow them to sense danger and help their master navigate difficult terrain. They also have sharp claws and teeth that can cause significant damage in combat. Equipment. Character 3 does not carry any equipment but can be outfitted with armor and other accessories by their master. Alignment chart. Character 3's alignment falls in the neutral category. They are not driven by any moral code or ideology, but instead are guided by their own survival instincts and loyalty to their master. They do not actively seek to do good or evil, but will defend themselves and their master fiercely if threatened. And I will say this is Old Testament.
Well, I gathered that.
And it's Lily's turn to guess first.
Can you post it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to need that too.
I will say this is real obscure.
Yeah,
can you post it in the chat again?
Certainly hard.
Because it cut out a little bit. Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Wait, you said that this is Old Testament?
It is Old Testament, yeah. And it is obscure. And I'll say this much. So I'll give you this hint. Don't read too much into the fighting because this character doesn't fight in the Bible. I was just giving it traits that it would fight like in D&D or whatever.
I have like one or two maybe questions depending on if you're willing to answer them. Just
okay.
To, like, clarify.
This is so like real D&D. This is fun.
What like race category would you put an angel if an angel wasn't answered? Would you?
It's not an angel.
Would you categorize?
I'll just give you that. It's not an angel.
Okay.
Or I'll give you. It's not commonly interpreted as an angel. I don't think 99% of people would think this is an angel, but you never know with Christians. They might be like, oh, that's actually an angel that made that animal talk. You know, who knows? But
I see. Okay. I see what you're saying. Because the follow-up to that was like, were there angels in the Old Testament? Because I was trying to think and I'm not positive if there are or not. Oh, yeah, actually, I'm not positive. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. And you say it's Old Testament. Yeah, this has got to be really obscure.
Yeah, this is way out there, John. What the heck?
Do you know what it is, Chris?
I have a guess.
Chris, you can guess yours if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, it is your turn.
I know, but like literally the only talking animal from the Old Testament that I can think of is the snake that Satan was.
I'm thrown off by the sharp claws.
Yeah, don't worry.
Otherwise, I'm thinking, okay, because I'm thinking into Balaam's donkey.
You nailed it, Chris. That's what it is.
Oh
Good
my
God. I cannot believe I got that.
Balaam's donkey.
Yeah, I went for it.
John, what the fuck?
Y'all, I listen. Y'all are like acting like you're not getting it. Y'all are getting it in like less than 3 guesses, and there's a ton of Bible characters. So. All right.
I don't remember that being in the, I guess it's hard for me to remember like what is in the Old versus New Testament. Cause I think I would have placed that in the New Testament, that story.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, it's like the most obscure and weird story in the Bible, probably.
What book is that from? Numbers?
It's from, I can't even remember off the top of my head.
I think it's from like Numbers or Leviticus. I don't think it's Leviticus, but it's weird. It's like it's one of those like children's Bible stories that gets told for some reason.
Numbers, damn, good for you.
Yeah, fucking
well. What can I say? I went to Bible college.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay. Let's see. We've only got 2 more. These last 2, I think, are actually
2 more.
No.
Okay.
I think these are easier.
Yeah, you're gonna have to post all of these, by the way, in the chat so that I can visually read it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
I'll go ahead and send it. I guess it's Chris's turn to guess first. Here's this, and I'll read it. The race is human. The class is cleric. Alignment is lawful evil. Personality traits. Character 4 is a charismatic and persuasive speaker who uses their words to sway others in their cause. They have a strong sense of order and hierarchy, believing that the strong should rule over the weak. They are willing to use any means necessary to achieve their goals, including manipulation and deceit. They are often cold and calculating in their actions and rarely show mercy to those who stand in their way. Abilities. As a cleric, Character 4 has been granted powers by their deity to allow them to heal allies and harm enemies in combat. They also call upon divine intervention to aid them in their endeavors or to smite those who oppose them. Equipment. Character 4 carries a mace, which they use to crush their enemies and subdue those who defy them. They wear a set of ornate robes, which signify their position as a high-ranking member of their religious order. They also carry a holy symbol that they use to focus on their divine magic. Alignment chart. Character 4's alignment falls into the lawful evil category. They believe in the importance of rules and order, but only because it allows them to maintain their power and influence. They have no qualms about using immoral or unethical means to achieve their goals and are often ruthless in their pursuit of personal gain. While they may appear to be a force for good, their true motivations are always self-serving. And I will tell you, this is a New Testament character.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that narrows it down for me then, because I was thinking Old Testament there.
That description felt long AF.
Yeah, it did. First guess is gonna be Saul.
Yeah, I'll get, say more. Saul, as in
the Apostle Paul, formerly known as Saul.
Then you're correct. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the technical call out.
Yeah.
You're like, as if there's anybody else in the New Testament called Saul.
Yeah,
I know. It was more just like, I was like, well,
you're talking shit about Paul, and I'm out here being like, oh, you said lawful evil, therefore Saul. Yeah.
But also, what other main Paul character is there in the Bible besides Saul?
Well, there's King Saul in the Old Testament, which you
said New Testament.
I know. I was just clarifying. That's all. I just didn't want to give it away if you were thinking someone else. That's all.
I did say some of this actually did work for the Pharaoh in Exodus as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I tried to throw in little misdeeds here and there too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I'm learning to just ignore half of what you say.
All right, last one. I'll throw it in the chat.
This one for me to answer first?
Yes.
Yeah, where are we at in points, John?
Chris has a lead, but Lily can come back with getting this right very easily.
I love that you just did not tell us.
Well, I didn't feel like counting. Chris has 7, Lily has 3. Okay. So, race unknown, class cleric, alignment chaotic good. So personality traits. Character 5 has a deep sense of empathy and compassion for others and is fiercely dedicated to fighting injustice and oppression. They often challenge the status quo and are willing to take risk to stand up for what they believe in. They are quick to forgive, but will not hesitate to use force to protect the vulnerable or defend themselves. They also have a mischievous streak and enjoy pushing boundaries and challenging authority. Abilities. As a cleric, Character 5 has access to divine magic, which they can use to heal the sick, protect their allies, and smite their enemies. They are also skilled in hand-to-hand combat and can disarm opponents with ease. Equipment. Character 5 carries a simple wooden staff, which they use both as a walking stick and as focus for their spells. They wear unassuming robes, and they do not draw attention to themselves, but are comfortable and allow for ease of movement in combat. alignment chart, character 5's alignment falls in the chaotic good category. They believe in individual freedom and personal responsibility and are dedicated to fighting for the common good. They do not respect laws or authority that they perceive as unjust, but will cooperate with institutions and individuals that share their values. They are often seen as unpredictable or unconventional, but ultimately driven by a strong moral compass and a desire to make the world better. Lily, who's that?
If it's not Moses, I'll be so annoyed.
It is. I'll tell you this much since I've given this every time. It is New Testament.
Come on.
It ain't Moses.
It ain't Moses. All right, well, color me annoyed. Give me a second.
Solid guess, though. Like, if I hadn't given it, like, definitely a solid guess.
I mean, yeah. Fuck. I feel like it's either like one of the apostles, like maybe either Simon Peter or the apostle John, but I don't know if I'm sold on those.
Guess one of them, because this might take a second.
I could see this being Simon Peter.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
Chris.
John the Baptist.
Nope.
Damn it.
That's a good guess.
Thank you.
Yep. No, I would have included something about eating bugs somewhere in there.
I would have given it away. That'd be too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Chris just realized
I'm so
something.
mad. I'm mad at you, John.
Wait.
I'm so mad at you.
Yeah, I think Chris just figured it out.
Chris, you can say it if you want to.
No, you should guess. It's your turn. This is your chance to win it all. Wait, John, what do we win?
You'll find out in a minute.
Oh God. Yeah. It's gonna be good.
I feel like it's right there.
It is definitely right there.
I'm so stressed out.
All right. I'll just say this character carries main character energy.
Main character energy.
I'm so mad at you.
Wait, it's not. What's his name?
You know his name, 100%.
I don't know if she does, John. I'm not sure if she knows his name.
I am assured that she knows his name.
I think there's a solid chance that this one might have slipped right under her.
What's the right guess?
Just guess.
You gotta just go with it, you know?
Is it Jesus' human father?
Joseph? No, it's not Joseph.
Joseph? Okay, what is it? Who is it?
I'm gonna go with Jesus.
It's Jesus.
I hate you. I hate you so much, John. Chaotic good. It's true, but also I hate you. Unknown class. Unknown class.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Oh man.
Unknown race. Class is cleric.
Anymore. That's so stupid. Main character energy, my ass.
Unknown race. Oh, I see. Race unknown. Class cleric.
Absolutely
Okay.
Unbelievable. I'm so annoyed.
Yeah, he has access to divine magic, which they use to heal the sick, protect their allies, and smite their enemies. Although I don't know if Jesus smites his enemies anywhere other than Revelation.
Yeah, wait. Let's get into this. What do you mean staff? Because I don't remember Jesus having like a magical
It's more just
staff.
like, what would Jesus carry? Like,
yeah, what would Jesus do?
No,
right? What would Jesus do?
That's such imagery bullshit.
Listen, I had to make it a D&D character. I'm limited.
Jesus never had a magical staff.
As far as we know, I don't know. We could read some Gnostic Gospels and see. Maybe there's some weird shit.
Okay, Lily, it's
So
not over for you
irritating.
because there's one more game, and this.
Fuck you. I'm not even speaking to you currently.
Okay, but this one's fun. It's an evangelical would you rather. There's no
but
wrong
no.
answers for y'all. Y'all just have to guess what my answer was. And the same thing.
Oh, boy.
We'll escalate each one. But I want to hear
What your
y'all's
answer
answer
was.
first, and then y'all would guess
So-
what my answer to the would you rather would be. Because I've
Okay.
already answered them before all this. Like I've gone through them. I answered them. Yeah, I didn't
Where'd you
find
get this from?
this one was Chat GPT, but like it was like what would be fun, but I edited all of them because they were all terrible. So I made them a lot better. Yeah, this is the first one, and I want to hear both y'all's answers because I have no idea what y'all would say. Would you rather be trapped on an island with Joel Osteen for a 3-day weekend, or forced to attend a Chris Tomlin concert and sing along to every song?
Who should answer first? Because I already have an answer.
Go ahead, Lily.
I would not be able to handle the Joel Osteen thing. I can handle any concert with weed, so that's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Chris?
This is funny because I think I know your answer. I also know mine, which is I can handle against my will the Chris Tomlin concert. I'm going to pass on the 3-day weekend with Mr. Osteen.
Okay, so Chris, what do you think I answered?
You would take the 3-day weekend with Joel Osteen, and you would pass hard on the Chris Tomlin concert where you have to sing along.
What do you think, Lily? What do you think I would say?
I'd say it kind of depends on your mood and mental state. 'Cause, like, I could absolutely see you being like, sure, it could be fun to be trapped on an island with Joel Osteen for a weekend. This could be fun. Like, I could
That sounds
absolutely
like
see
something
that.
I would say. You're not wrong.
Like, I wouldn't be that terribly surprised. I think I might have a harder time seeing you at the concert having to sing every word. I could see myself getting into it for like my own sick reasons.
Yeah, sure.
How great is our God?
Yeah, like I could trick myself into getting into anything. I think I could see you more likely with Joel Osteen.
Y'all both got it right. Yeah, I can handle some Osteen. I can't handle Chris Tomlin. Like I think that
you would just be. I think you would be entertained by Joel Osteen, and I would get upset.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's really would be come down to entertainment value, and I just would not get any entertainment out of a Tomlin concert. Okay. Would you rather have, this one's a lot harder. Would you rather have no Christians speak to you ever again and receive $1,000 a year, or have unlimited access to all Christians, but you must go to church every Sunday?
That's
so either
such a weird...
no more Christians in your life and you get paid, or any Christian you ever want to talk to, you can talk to, but you have to go to church every Sunday.
Wow.
Can I ask, like, do I get anything out of the second one? Can I ask for something in return?
What do you mean? Like
if, for example, if I choose the second one and I have to go to church every Sunday and I have access to every Christian, in trade-off, can I also require them to go to secular therapy?
No, you can't. You can't require. You can ask. I mean, you can proselytize all you want, like, or not proselytize.
No.
But you can be yourself, but you have to go to church every Sunday.
So, Lily, the issue is that the reward is that you get to have access to any Christian. That is the good part.
That's not
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Again, maybe for y'all's answer is y'all's answer, but you have to think about what my answer would be too.
Fuck.
I think I broke y'all's brains. Y'all look so
I already feel like I know what your answer would be. I'm having a harder time with my answer.
What do you think my answer would be? Just
I feel like you would immediately prefer to not be spoken to by Christians and get paid. I don't think that you would like to go to church every Sunday at all.
okay.
I actually think that John would reject the money and the freedom in order to proselytize and have access to his family, specifically his dad.
Okay. I will say Chris is right for not dad reasons specifically,
Sure,
but
John.
for more for the idea that like my work requires that I talk to Christians. So I have to have access to all Christians. $1,000 a year wouldn't cut it.
Yeah, my problem is that I want to see Christians as part of my future work. But
Yeah.
I also really don't want to go to church on Sundays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
it's
I'm
brutal.
like, wow, I'm not going to cut my family out for $1,000, but also I would almost rather die than go to church every week.
Yeah.
So this is worse than would you rather burn or drown? For me.
When one of the options is $1,000 a year and it's worse than burn or drown. All right, we'll move on. I don't need y'all to dwell on it too much.
Yeah. Thank you, because I'm not going to answer the question.
Would you rather be
That's a little too hard. I don't know if I can answer that.
All right.
Would you
I'm
rather
gonna
be Would you rather be forced to listen to the entire Left Behind audiobook series or
Jesus.
have to perform Refiner's Fire at a Bible camp 3 times in one summer?
Immediately the second one.
This is easy for me. I would immediately listen to the entire Left Behind series.
Okay. And what did you say,
Really?
Lily?
That would be genuine entertainment for me, whereas performing Refiner's Fire would be actual hell. As
That's
featured on our
hilarious.
rock and roll episode.
Yeah, we've probably shit on Refiner's Fire more than anything ever on this podcast.
That's amazing. My reason is Left Behind has always been extremely triggering for me, even as a Christian.
Yeah.
Even when I was a Christian kiddo, anytime I couldn't find my mom, I'm like, well, I was left behind.
Oh man.
And it was horrible. That continued for longer than I would care to admit. And then
Yeah.
I still I'm definitely not above having some existential crises now and then, because I can
Why
theorize
not?
all I want to. you say you're what?
I just said why not? Why not have a existential crisis every now and then? It's good for the brain.
Yeah. So anyway, I just feel like watching that would be too triggering for me to choose, but I don't really have any emotional attachment to Refined whatever or Christian
Refiner's Fire.
Sounds like you maybe haven't
Refiner's
heard the
Fire.
song.
My heart's one desire. It's so bad.
Yeah, I would be totally fine. I could make it into my own thing.
Fair
and
enough.
I can make people question my motives, and that would be fun for me.
She
Okay.
has a valid point, actually, because I just realized 3 performances of Refiner's Fire is 15 minutes.
Yeah, and the audiobook series of Left Behind is hours. An hour.
Yeah, it's just a question of whether I have to try to be genuine or not.
Oh, I would make it sexual and weird.
Yes.
you didn't say anything about
Yes.
that. So I could have
That's
fun
true.
with this. I have no emotional attachment to Bible college or Christian songs in that way.
She has
Yeah.
a good point.
What do y'all think I said?
Left Behind.
That I would rather listen to Left Behind.
Yep.
Okay, Lily.
I could see you having fun with her performance, honestly. I don't
Okay.
know if you would I don't know if you would want to dedicate yourself to hours and hours of listening to Left Behind, but I could also see that being entertaining for you.
Yep.
But just like out of you literally being a college student right now, I would say you'd probably go with the performance.
It's great reasoning, but I went with the audiobook. Only because I'm like, I could use that for content. Like
journalism. Yep.
Like I'm like, I could listen to it and write about what I'm hearing. And
I guess
I've never read them. So it's like a curiosity. It wouldn't trigger me at all because I don't have like any associations with them. Refinder's Fire makes me want to die. So
you were not a pre-trib guy, were you?
That's correct. I was mill.
Whole different form of trauma.
Yeah.
All right, this one's bad. Would you rather have a conversation with Kirk Cameron, but you can't argue with him, or watch God's Not Dead on repeat for 24 hours straight?
I have an answer.
Okay.
I would rather watch God's Not Dead on repeat for 24 hours.
Okay.
Easily.
What's your reasoning?
My reasoning, I have I have a few different reasons. One, in no order of importance. It's not that uncommon for me. I have 2 floors more. It's not that uncommon for me to have something on in the background.
Fair.
Anyway, now granted that's usually like Friends, or something like that. But I feel like it might be entertaining / annoying the first couple of times, and then after that, like, you didn't say that I have to keep watching it. Like, it could just be on, and I can just keep doing my shit.
You have to be in the same room, I think, would be the clarification.
That's fine. I can still be doing my own shit in the same room. But I can tune it out eventually. But like having I know that Kirk Cameron is just like a misogynist piece of shit. And I would just get so upset. And like, I think I would probably like literally combust if I would not be able to argue with him.
Fair. Very fair. Very fair. Chris, what are you thinking?
Okay, can you repeat exactly?
It's like, would you rather have a conversation with Kirk Cameron where you can't argue, or watch God's Not Dead on repeat for 24 hours straight?
Technically, you said have it on. You didn't say you have to.
No, I said watch.
He said watch.
I said watch.
Well,
as long as I mean, but like watch in like a pretty like you don't have to like have your phone on airplane mode or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna be that crazy about it.
Okay, I can still be on my phone though. So like,
hang on, I got to do some quick math here.
Are you trying to figure out?
Okay, I'll say this: the conversation with Kirk would last less than 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kirk Cameron because God's Not Dead isn't even 2 hours. So that is more than 12 watches of God's Not Dead. And I would rather die. I am susceptible and it would get exhausting. And I would start hearing quotes over and over in my head. It would seep into my dreams. I would be just like hearing voices from these different interviews. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
What did I say?
Oh, you would rather watch God's Not Dead, wouldn't you? You sick fuck.
What do you think, Lily?
I actually think that you would find a way to use the conversation with Kirk Cameron for content, even if you couldn't argue. So
you got it right, Lily. You nailed it. I'm like, I could.
Like one way or the other, this is all about content.
That's right, baby. No, it's true though, because my reasoning is twofold. One is time. Like I could just like a conversation. I could just like, you know, it's just one. It's not even an hour. Like I can handle that. But also like I can reflect on it later. And I'm actually pretty good at having conversations without arguing, believe it or not. So just not with people I'm
if you
friends
say
with.
so.
Okay. Would you rather have to speak in tongues every time you get nervous, or wear a WWJD bracelet the rest of your life?
One more time for the listeners.
Chris, go ahead to the bathroom. Chris chatted, I gotta go potty. Just go to the bathroom, and me and Lily can like handle this for a minute.
No, but I do need to think about this. Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah, it's would you rather
speak in tongues
every time you get nervous, you speak in tongues?
every time. And I assume for the rest of your life.
Correct. Or always wear a WWJD bracelet the rest of your life.
All right.
Well, Chris is going to shit on that. I am pretty toasted. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can tell. I can see it.
I haven't drained since like 7. So
yeah, I can tell like by your eyes here that you're toasted.
I am also toasted.
Nice. Did you hear?
It's funny because Chris has the wireless earbuds, so he can hear everything.
Yeah,
nice.
I literally can hear all of it.
That's awesome.
All right. So Lily, what are you?
Have a kitty too. Wait,
This is Terry. She's a cutie.
All right. Quick kitty break.
Oh, we have all the cats.
Kitty. All right. I know that John wants to move on.
Yeah. So yeah, nervous tongues, or what would Jesus do bracelet?
First of all, I just like the phrase "nervous tongues."
It's my favorite Radiohead song.
Yeah. I think that even though it seems like it would really suck, I would probably go with the WWJD bracelet, because I'm sure that I could find a new acronym meaning for it. And like most of my crowds that I'm in aren't like inherently Christian. So they probably wouldn't really know what it means, and I could just say some other made up thing. And then the situations where I would be with Christians, like if I'm going to see a client where it might be triggering, I could easily just like cover it up with a sleeve or something like that.
Fair. How about you, Chris? It's nervous tongues or Jesus bracelet?
Oh, it's the bracelet all the way.
Okay.
I get nervous too often.
Fair.
I get nervous too often.
Hiding a bracelet or just like having people ignore the bracelet, way easier.
Yeah.
And what did I say? Your cat's like, fuck you.
Yep.
I think that you would say the nervous tongues, because I think that you have an idea that you don't get nervous that frequently.
Okay. Yep. The way you said that made it sound interesting. Okay, Chris.
That is actually my answer as well, for the same reason.
Well, I love that y'all are both wrong.
Oh
no! WWJD. What would John do? It's a very easy spin on it.
Oh
yeah, I can spin that easy.
I guess okay.
Yeah. All right. Only 2 left. And they do get very tough.
Oh man.
Would you rather have your former pastor follow you on social media?
One?
So Chris, you have to pretend you like have most social media. Would you rather have your former pastor follow you on social media and comment on all your posts and you can't block them, or have every new stranger you ever meet ask if you've accepted Jesus into your heart?
Easy.
Wait.
What?
What is it then? If it's easy, Chris.
Former pastor, social media.
Okay.
Every single one of my former pastors would be pretty chill.
even the conservative ones, pretty chill. And actually, 3 of my former pastors do follow on my social media and were not a problem even before I stopped posting on my social media.
Okay, fair enough.
And I would take that over every stranger every time. You cannot even begin to imagine how much more I would prefer to not have strangers asking about. I deal with strangers every day. I literally interact with strangers every 1 to 10 minutes.
I'll say this. Stranger you meet in more than like customer interactions. I'll say it won't be like every.
That makes it better, but that still does not change my answer.
Okay, fair enough. I'm talking about like people you would only meet in like a social setting, not necessarily like a work setting.
Even still.
Okay.
Even still.
How about you, Lily?
I have follow-up questions before I answer.
Sure.
Especially just because I am operating as a person that does have social media and is also female.
Yeah.
What kinds of comments?
Mostly just like we'll call it genuine reactions. So picture your former pastor, however they would genuinely react to the stuff you post.
Okay. So not like weird. Unless they're weird.
If your former pastor's not weird, your former pastor's not weird. You know? You kind of have to like imagine what they would say.
See, like I've had multiple pastors throughout my life. The one that I would like probably identify with in my head was the one when I was like 12, 13. Mm-hmm. Pastor Dan. Sorry, Roar's trying to open the door himself, so I have to open it for him.
That's okay.
Pastor Dan didn't like me, but I don't think, like, if he was going to comment on my social media posts, which I don't think would be in character for him, but if we're going to pretend like he is, mm-hmm. I feel like it would be something just kind of like just cheesy and normal for an older person. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would go with probably former pastor because like as much as I'm like not that opposed to getting into like a conversation about like why I am no longer a Christian, that it's going to get emotionally exhausting very quickly.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to go with the former pastor.
All right. What did I say?
I think you said the same thing as us.
What do you think, Lily?
You take those Facebook comments. You don't give a shit.
I think that specifically because you're trying to be a journalist, you would go with the strangers asking you questions.
Chris got it right. That's I'm like, honestly, now granted, my pastor sucks a lot worse than y'all's pastors, but like it's just more like a like, and he did used to comment on shit and I did block him, but and it would be miserable, but it's like something I can turn off, right? Like it's something I can like at least like not look at for one day if I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like it's not the end of the world, and it's dependent on how much I post, you know? Whereas like the idea of just every person just being like, have you accepted Jesus in your heart? Which is like up there in top 10 triggering questions for me.
That might be my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's bad. All right. Last one. Would you rather have a tattoo of John Calvin or Martin Luther?
Holy shit.
Bye.
Martin Luther.
Okay.
Again.
Why?
Again, I have a... Okay.
No question. Because I hate John Calvin and his approach to religion. And Martin Luther is not my fave, but I can handle Martin Luther a little more. Just a slightly bit more.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Understandable to say the least. How about you, Lily?
Can I choose how big the tattoo is and where it goes?
We'll say yes to where it goes. We'll say it has to be like recognizably big. So like to this extent that like somebody would see it and be like, that's John Calvin without having to squint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Martin Luther's going right on my ass.
I feel like that's actually maybe disrespectful.
Maybe just
ass.
Oh my god, I can't get into it.
That's the funniest thing you've ever said, Chris.
I'm like,
Am I wrong?
I can't believe you said that on the podcast.
Are you gonna look at me and tell me that I'm wrong, bro?
Okay, goddamn, that was funny. I'm so happy right now. All right, Lily, do you have a preference? I'm crying. This is the second time I've cried on the podcast for a very different reason.
Oh man, we can go home at peace. We made John cry. That was the goal. We succeeded.
Oh, that was so funny. Oh, that was my favorite thing.
Like I just really want to be okay at this point.
No, just ignore me. Just continue.
Under protest, because like he's done a lot of problematic things that I take issue with, but I'm gonna have to go with MLK as well.
Yeah. Well, and Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther, the
is that why you said disrespectful?
Yeah, no, we weren't talking about Martin Luther King. The guy he's named after. Martin Luther, the 95 Thesis guy. Yeah, you can
the founder of Lutheranism.
In fact, just do an image search of Martin Luther and John Calvin, because that's really the more important thing.
Oh, no wonder you said.
No wonder you were like, "What are y'all doing?"
Disrespectful.
No, Martin Luther was like the founder of the Protestant movement, who like separated Catholics from
Because that's why I was also like, he's done some things that I don't agree with, but
okay,
he was broadly speaking a good person. Wow, different guy.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't remember a whole lot about Martin Luther.
The briefest summary I can give it. It's basically, dude had problems with the Catholic churches, primarily about selling indulgences. And so he was like standing up to corruption in the Catholic Church, but he also had he was the first one that was like, James shouldn't be in the Bible because it's all about faith, not works, and he's kind of the founder of the faith. What?
Because it's all about works, not faith.
Not Martin Luther.
Martin Luther did not want James in the Bible because it's all about works.
Oh, yes. I see I'd see where the miscommunication happened. Yes, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically he's not like there's a couple ways
he
to
also
interpret
was
him.
Extremely anti-Semitic, which is
very
not great.
Anti-Semitic, very mentally challenged people should be put to death, which isn't great because they're demon possessed.
Did he say that? That's new to me. I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Good old Martin Luther. Listen, Europe was not a good place in the 1500s. Let's just all around, it doesn't matter if you go with Luther or Calvin, you're just going to have a bad time.
Yeah, neither are good figures. It's more, to me, I'll give you all this hint. To me, it's more about the aesthetic of it be on your body. Their image would be on your body, and you just have to deal with that.
I'd still rather go with Luther because there's a chance that someone might recognize John Calvin, and then I'd be like, ugh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. A Theo bro could spot that from a mile away.
Yeah, no, exactly. And at least Martin Luther, there's like a little bit of a punk rock vibe to it where you're just like, yeah, he was like, no, we're gonna
He's definitely a rebel. Yeah.
Or we're gonna nail it to the man, if you will.
Yeah, well, Luther was much more like a rogue activist, and Calvin was much more like a stuffy lawyer. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, Lily, we've given you a lot of information. What are you thinking?
Yeah. All right. After giving it some thought, I would have to go with Martin Luther because I am totally a fan of punk rock thinking.
Yeah.
And I also just have always had such a huge issue with Calvinism that I just can't.
Fair. Yeah. Now here's the real question. What did I say? Chris is laughing because he probably has no idea.
I truly don't. I'm going to go with John Calvin purely for aesthetic reasons.
Okay.
I'm also going to go with John Calvin because I know that you were at least at one point like fine with Calvinism.
That's correct. Y'all are both right. It is more aesthetic than anything else. Martin Luther is an ugly motherfucker.
He sure is.
Like I'm like
sure
Calvin
is.
had
That's why he's on my ass.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's definitely going to be like a tasteful little like quarter size.
Calvin you can make work, and also like I love Calvin and Hobbes, and that Calvin is named after John Calvin, so I feel like I could add like a tiger under like a John Calvin or something and kind of make it like a joke.
Or did you just make that up?
No, Thomas. It's after John Calvin and Thomas Hobbes.
Thomas Hobbes, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
so weird,
fun.
but it's true.
Yeah. So I feel like I can make work. Chris, unlike last time, you demolished Lily. You got...
I am the master commander.
That's the most homeschooled thing I've ever seen you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
You won like 30 to
going back to my roots
or something.
Wow.
So you get the...
It's honestly embarrassing.
You get the honor of reading my first hate mail. Now,
oh hell yeah. Let's go. Now we're talking.
This year, I received far less private messages. It was much more like hate comments on like Instagram and TikTok. Those increased vastly. But the DMs are a little dry, and that's okay. Let's keep it that way. That's okay with me. Let's keep this relationship of y'all just hating me in the comments because that's better for business. So Chris, here is
traction.
Yeah, that's right. So Chris, this is the only like message I got that was like through my like website's contact form. And I'm sure there was more hate mail than this. I just chose the ones that were like funny to me. A lot of them are just like, you're wrong. You know, it's like, okay. So these are more funny ones. So this one was sent to me through my website.
Delete the website. It's a direct ticket to hell.
Yep.
Unquote.
Spoiler alert, the cult of Christianity.com has not been deleted. Lily, you are actually going to
know it hasn't directed anyone straight to hell.
As far as we know. So Lily, this is I'll let you read this one. This is actually probably my favorite of the whole year, to be honest. It's pretty outstanding. It's my favorite.
That's awesome. This person goes, "Hey Bunhead, learn the philosophy of Christianity." There's so much to break down there. Also,
there's
the philosophy.
They called you Bunhead. Bumhead.
Well, because of it was like on a video.
Your man bun.
Yeah, it was on a video where my man bun was quite present, I guess. But it was like, wow. All right.
That's the best you got.
Yep. Chris, this is a good one. Still trying to make sense of it. This was in response to me calling Christianity a cult.
Your job is a cult.
I don't know what that means. But apparently my like, I really don't
Your
know.
job, John, it means that your job is a cult.
Oh man. Okay, so this was
are a cult.
I am a cult. Lily, this one was in response.
The same energy as like your mom is a cult.
Your mom's a cult.
Your mom goes to college.
Lily, this was a comment on a video I did about like how the Bible's very vulgar, which it is, including things like saying how the Bible says like dung all over the place. And I just like casually was like, so it's saying shit like all over the place, especially in the Old Testament. And then this was a comment on that.
Okay. This person says, smooth brained. How do you know it's shit as opposed to feces? Do you speak Hebrew or ancient Greek or Latin?
Which I did then proceed to inform them that I have studied Hebrew. But yeah.
You're like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I told them, I was like, I don't speak it very well, but that's not really a thing people do with ancient Hebrew.
Also, what the hell does smooth brained mean?
Also,
smooth brained.
Because the more wrinkly your brain is, the more surface area it has. Therefore, theoretically, the more smart you are.
That's the nerdiest insult I've ever experienced in my life.
Right?
And I'm like, I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? And you're like, oh,
you big dumb smooth brain. Wait, I just want to go at them for saying ancient Latin because, like, what? None of the Bible is written in Latin.
They might be thinking Latin Vulgate, but even then, it's
Vulgate,
like, why are you like? Why would that matter? Like, and for the point you're making. I also did like another video that was about like how the word like context is used by Christians sometimes, and they're like, you just don't understand the context, you know, and how that's kind of like a cop out for like addressing the point, which drives me crazy. On that video, misspelling and all, someone commented this, Chris.
Nope. Still Christian. Smiley face. Unquote.
Do they mean that they're still a Christian or that you're still a Christian?
I think they're still a Chistin even after that.
They're still a Christian.
Good for them. I fully support them being a Christian.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. This one's really long. Who wants to read a long one?
I do.
Oh, man. Lily wants to read it.
Lily, this is really long. The main reason I did this is because I still don't know what the fuck this person said. As far as word salad goes, this is like the saladiest of words. Like I literally don't know what the fuck this person is saying. And they commented it, and it was one of those comments that was like on a random thing on Instagram. Like it wasn't tied to anything I was saying in the post. Good luck.
Oh boy.
Chris, if I took this from you, you can say it.
No, it was your turn.
No, it's all yours. It's all yours. I don't mind.
You say this was on the Instagram post?
Yes.
Holy shit, this is long.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. First, can I just ask out of curiosity which Instagram post? Just like briefly, what was the post?
Nothing. Like I don't even remember. Like it was just like a random. Like I think it was probably like new episode coming out. You know, whatever. Like it wasn't. It was nothing.
Just some bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. Roar came into the bedroom, so I'm just quickly closing the door as I'm starting to read this.
Cool.
Then my cat opens and closes doors on his own. Yep. All right. This person says, atheists believe that life was created out of nothing spontaneously, as a coincidence, magically, but without the miracle of God. It is more likely that the Prophet Muhammad flew to heaven on a winged horse than everything was created from nothing. That is an impossibility. Is it possible to believe it is impossible to be wrong believing in an impossibility? Is it possible to believe enough is known, believing everything is known, not understanding anything? It is impossible. A contradiction is an impossibility, and a miracle is an impossibility that God makes possible. An act of God is enough evidence to prove God's existence to demonstrate logically that eliminates all alternatives except the truthful conclusion that nothing would exist if God didn't exist, because nothing can be created from nothing. And if everything needed to be created, nothing would exist in an infinite regress of causes and effects without a beginning of existence. God is the eternal, intelligent entity that created mortality, the miracle of life and death, or the finite reality known as, quote, universe. God designed its own life and death, creating the miracle of life and death from eternal existence. Then
he continued in a second comment.
Okay. Atheism is a malicious lie, as is manifested by the stupid question that is repeated and liked: who created your God? When what is asserted is that God is not created because is eternal, the creator without creator, first cause you. Okay, so first I want to say that to me it seems pretty obvious that this person is using a translate of some sort.
Yeah, this is not a first language speaker. Yeah, English is a first language.
Yeah, this is not an English as a first language speaker. So I just want to be like really mindful of that.
But
what?
Even still, the points don't stand well at all. Wait, so this person thinks that it's incredibly frustrating. Also, first of all, I want to just point out, John does not claim the term atheist.
Never have.
John is not a committed atheist.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
So that's funny, but then also, secondly,
I'm sorry, it cut out.
Oh no, you can finish what you were going to say. Actually,
sorry. Yeah, no, it cut out, so I didn't know you were still talking. I was just going to say that I think a lot of people assume that ex-Christians are automatically atheists or agnostic.
Yeah, which like agnostic, fine, but that's not the same thing,
right? In
itself, and like, yeah, it's just funny because people are always like, "Whoa, then there's nothing," and it's like, well, no, like that's not what I said. Certainly isn't what John has ever said. So that's funny, but also this person, like, as a person who is borderline atheist, on the atheist side of agnosticism, it's just funny when this person's just like, you are saying that the universe came from nothing, and that's impossible because things can't come from nothing.
Right.
But I believe in God, and I know you're going to say, where did God come from? But God has always existed. And I'm like, okay, like, but you just described how people describe the universe. There's a lot of people who think that matter has never existed or
it's such a tired argument, and it's like, if you're gonna bother making the argument, first off, there's not like most atheists have heard this argument more or less. You're not gonna, like, why comment? Why you spend so much time especially if you did go through the trouble of translating.
Translator, like how much time went into this comment? And then I'm like, but although I will say, like, I do kind of lean towards this person speaks English as a second language rather than used a translator, because they did see your content and know what it was and respond to it.
That's true. Like, yeah. It's just wild.
I just genuinely, I'm like, the amount of effort that went into saying something that actually has almost no meaning, and then the bit of meaning that comes out of it, I'm like, what?
Well, yeah, it's crazy. The thing that frustrates me, like, more than even like just more than nitpicking any grammatical or language thing, because there's just no reason to. Like, the thing that frustrates me is in this like very, very long comment, this person doesn't seem to realize that they are at first disagreeing with you and then saying that God came from nothing. So they're basically assuming and then making fun of you for allegedly assuming that nothing or everything came from something, except when it comes to God. That it's just so
it's so silly to believe that about anything except what I believe. It's silly. It's wild. The long one always get me, because I literally try to make sense of them and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. TikTok is a lot more brutal. So Chris, this was this was the same commenter on back-to-back videos.
Oh man. 1, dude, you're so lost. I feel bad for you. Wide-eyed emoji. Unquote.
And then on the next video he posted, quote, "You're lost and it's sad, but you made the choice." Is that two closed-eyed smiley emojis? Yeah, emojis. Yeah, that person's just like, well, you made the choice. Smiley, smiley, sarcasm. You're going to hell. Have fun burning for eternity. I feel like it de-escalated so much. It was like, dude, I feel so lost. I feel so bad for you. And then it's like, but you made your choice, so fuck it. It's like, all right.
Talk about that's definitely not an evangelizer.
Yeah, no, that's a live and let die person.
That's a live and let die Christian.
Yeah. Then this one's not that mean, but it's a comment. I feel like even if I don't get it like online, I feel like this is like the in-person comment I get all the time too.
Oh, so annoying. This person says, Christianity is about Christ. You're talking about religion. Very different topics. Please don't confuse them.
I'm like, what does that mean?
So condescending while being so stupid.
Yeah, it's like, you can't say like, what's, I don't know. Whatever.
Impressive.
So
every word of what you just said is wrong.
Right.
Every word that you just said is incorrect.
Chris, this is this was the only one I actually did add some commas in because I had to, or else this didn't make any sense.
You couldn't not have commas in it.
Yeah. Virtually all of these have like, or not virtually all, but next to all of them have some like typos and stuff, which I don't think says anything about a person innately, but it's a trend. I'll just say that. It's just like, golly, like. Anyways, this was a comment that doesn't make any sense.
Oh. When I see that a church full of people being kicked out, I can't believe in that because we all sin just different. Forgiveness isn't given. Miss me.
Straight up.
Oh, I don't. What? I feel like this started like, I don't know, like this person sounds like, yeah, fuck the church. You know, how can they kick people out? We all sin. And then it's just like, forgiveness isn't given. Miss me. Yeah. I'm like, wait, which way are we going here? I don't know.
You could almost read it as, when I see that a church is full of people being kicked out, I can't believe in that because we all sin just different. Forgiveness isn't given. Miss me. It's like, whoa, okay, sorry.
It just feels so confusing. I'm genuinely so confused by this one.
Also, again, to be a little nitpicky-ish, when you see a church full of people getting kicked out, like, I was like,
it is fun. I do like to imagine it's just a church full of people. The pastor just excommunicates 90% of the church. Imagine the Sunday after, and there's just like 6 people in the pews, and he's just like, because you know it's a he. He's just going to be like sitting there. He's just like, well, we're going to start over.
Oh man, this comment was similar to that other one that you read, Lily.
Wait, what did you say?
The comment
was what?
This comment was also similar to the one you read previously, Lily.
Oh no.
Was this also on TikTok, you say?
Yeah, this was on TikTok too. I just random video. Most of these didn't have anything to do with the content I actually said.
The comment is the quote Christianity you're referring to. Jesus himself called them Pharisees. They are still alive in 2022.
Okay, so they're not.
So this person may or may not be intending to do this, but this is just straight up anti-Semitism too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But also, like, even if you take that part out of it, like the Christian understanding of what the Pharisees represent is like, okay, so like religious leaders who are full of themselves. Yeah, that is the problem. And yes, that is what I'm referring to. Also, that is the religion.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the religion.
I don't know if they were well informed enough to realize their comment was anti-Semitic.
Right.
Maybe they were. Maybe they're. Yeah. Maybe
and I kind of like, I understand people don't always connect that dot. Right.
No, most of the time they don't. And that's like, I wouldn't say that's okay, but like, it's understandable. Like,
it's a little bit of a historical kind of whatever.
But the,
but
the point that they're trying to make is the point you're making. Like, that's the point is literally like, yes, that is the Christianity I'm referring to. Also, that is mainstream Christianity in every like format that you run into over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, because no one has ever. Because I even have like a couple of Christian friends that I have like asked to listen to the podcast, and they definitely haven't yet. And like, and like that's fine. That's their prerogative.
Sure.
But the one I was thinking of specifically is like, I'll like mention the podcast or mention like, oh, my friend that I do the podcast with, and he's like, oh, the Hating Jesus podcast or the How You Shouldn't Be a Christian podcast.
Yeah, find a comment where I've ever said I hated Jesus.
Yeah. And every time I'm just, and I know that he might not be like literal about it, but every time I'm just kind of casually like correcting him, like, oh, nope, actually, like the whole point is not about saying that anyone shouldn't be a Christian. It's just talking about the issues.
Well, and that's
just how being a Christian means that you're probably in a cult. Like,
yep. That is the premise, right?
Which, like, it's a strong premise. It is a strong premise. And yes, I can see how that might be offensive.
Sure.
But also, it's not a hating Jesus, and it's not even a hating Christians.
Or saying that you shouldn't necessarily be a Christian.
Right, because I've repeatedly said
of your organized religion.
Well, and I've repeatedly said your personal beliefs are your personal beliefs that I want no part in controlling. I want no part in any of that. It's literally about systemic abuse, about the hierarchies, about like what has literally happened. It's not like I'm just like, it's just about things that happen and are happening. It's not about John's
not out here trying to control, contain, or convert.
That boy, Chris.
Well,
anybody.
And also,
nor is he trying to make a distinction between leaders and followers.
There you go.
That's why this podcast is so fucking chaotic, because you can't lead. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, damn.
Well, just in general, like if you are afraid of being critical of anything in your life, you should analyze why that is.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this commenter said it best, Chris, when it comes to the best critique of me.
Here we go. The hair says it all. The hair says it all.
That's like the only thing they go after me for is the hair. And I'm like, okay.
It's like nothing's changed since you were 16.
Yeah, literally.
You know,
it's like
you know
so
why
on brand.
They go after your hair though?
Why do you think?
Not to make everything about feminism. She says that she makes everything about feminism. But like my belief is that they go for your hair because long hair is seen culturally as being feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing that a man could possibly want to be compared to or be like is feminine or woman-like.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I also think it's just kind of like a you don't have to work hard for that insult. Like, it's very much like whoever agrees with me will agree with this insult anyways. So it's like, it's not like it's a low stakes insult. You're not going to get called out very hard for it. Especially least of all by me. Cause I'm like, yeah, bro, people have been I've been traumatized by hair comments you wouldn't even believe. So like, this is not gonna get me. Okay, I have one last, but I'm gonna read this one because this is actually a story I wrote based on a fella. Okay, so here's some context. This commenter has been obsessed with my Instagram for quite a while, with DMs and comments. I'm gonna assume it's a he. I'm just gonna assume. I could be wrong. It's definitely a he though. It's an anonymous account, private account. One of those you can tell is just clearly created to like comment. It's a little intense, but I was like, I don't want to just read the comments, especially because I did interact with them a bit. I was like, I'm going to put this in the context of a story. So I called this story The Forbidden Fruit. Dano 3880's obsession with a cult of Christianity. Here we go.
Are you gonna put the piano music? Yeah,
I was gonna say I should probably put the piano music on, huh? Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good levels. Maybe just down a little bit. There we go. On March 21st, he scrolled through his Instagram feed. His heart skipped a beat when he saw the cult of Christianity pop up. He had been waiting for this moment, eager to see if the connection was more than just a passing fancy. On my post discussing the Asbury revival, something awoke in him. He commented, I think a revival requires many things: love, compassion, repentance, humility, and forgiveness. Why would you be against this? This would make the world a better place. Don't be so cynical. Revivals don't last long. We aren't very resilient, and we don't look within very often, but they are good for society. It's always good to look within and try to capture the true spirit of Jesus. I hope you find him. His heart racing, he anxiously awaited my response, but none came. He couldn't even wait a day, an hour, a second. He felt a surge of excitement as he typed the perfect words into my DMs. Smiling, anticipating, longing. I hope you have a revival in your heart, in spirit. It would be so healthy. You seem to have trauma. Maybe you were spiritually abused, and I'm sorry about that. The church can be abusive, but most aren't. I'm sorry for your bad experiences, but don't give up. Every institution has corruption, even the church, as you well know. Good luck, and God bless you. Still, I was silent. 3 days later, desperate for connection, he sent another message with a Democracy Now! Video about some conflict in France about a forced age of retirement. With the message attached, "Violence in the name of social justice is their jam!" Exclamation point. Democracy Now? Question mark? I don't think so. As I watched the video, detachment gave way to a heavy sense of unease. It had nothing to do with my previous post conversations or anything I've ever said to anyone in my life. It's like he was clumsily trying to understand my soul, but only for his own pleasure. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was deeper meaning behind it all. Despite the world's problems and the challenges of differing worldviews, his forbidden love burned brighter than hell. But I wasn't ready for the torture. The same day, he commented on a post I made about Christian LGBT hate. Considering all the anti-trans bills that were coming out, his tone changed. He commented, no hate except that which you spew against Christians almost daily. You accuse others of the very thing you do every day. I get it. Gays aren't happy with the Bible. The Bible also has warnings about premarital sex and lust. So does it hate heterosexuals too? No and no. God is the creator, and he can make the rules. Don't say it's hate. Quit playing the victim card. When you exaggerate and use hyperbole, you lose the debate. It's weakness. Just accept that you are your own God and you do what you want. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. Not a good philosophy. These rules are for humanity's safety. They are to enhance your life, not to stifle it. They will bring peace and stability. The marriage breakers and cheaters think God hates them too. But the rules are to protect, provide stability, and help you to thrive. Do what you want to do, but there are consequences. There will always be pain and suffering when you break the Creator's guidebook. As I read his comment, a sense of anger rose within me. How could he accuse me of spewing hate against Christians when all I wanted was to love and be loved in return? His words cut deep, deeper than the depths of Sheol. But I knew I couldn't let them break me. I responded with a simple Exhibit A. A reminder that his words were proof of the very hatred he claimed to condemn. And as others chimed in with their own criticisms, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. But as the argument died down, he had one less tantalizing comment for me. Any prayer is that you find joy, peace, and love. God is big enough to forgive me and you of our piles of sins. God bless you. 2 days later, he comments on a post promoting my episode with Kit Morgan about gender and commented, and he made them male and female. As I read his comment on my post, my blood began to boil. How could he use a Bible verse to justify his narrow-minded views on gender and sexuality? I couldn't help but feel frustrated and angry at his hypocrisy, but it only increased my curiosity about his own orientation and identity. So instead of lashing out, I decided to take the high road and confront him with questions. Why do you continue to exhibit the behavior you claim Christians are guilty of? I asked. What is your purpose? You are daily commenting in my DMs, and you are doing it all anonymously. What is your goal? The silence that followed was deafening, and for a moment, I wondered if I had gone too far. But I knew that I couldn't let him continue to spew his hatred and bigotry without speaking up. And so, I waited, wondering if he would ever respond. Radio silence. Until 1 week later, when our man of mystery commented, "Happy Palm Sunday. Next week is Easter. He died and arise for your sins. He loves you even if you call his followers a cult. He left the 99 to pursue the one list sheep. He has grace and forgiveness for everyone." I couldn't help but feel a mixture of annoyance and intrigue at his persistence. And so I decided to confront him, to ask the question that had been burning inside me for weeks. Why are you so obsessed with me? I typed, my fingers nervously dancing across the phone. Jesus is going to get jealous. But his reply never came, leaving me to wonder what lay beneath his constant messages and cryptic comments. Was there something more to his obsession with me, or was it simply a manifestation of his own inner turmoil and confusion? Only time would tell. 10 days later, on a post about the history of Christianity, he commented, "Rules set boundaries. Rules keep us safe from our worst impulses, but rules without relationship equals rebellion." There was something about the way he talked, the way he thought, that drew me in. He sounded so naughty, yet so afraid. Like he needed permission to express his darkest parts. I found myself wanting to know more, wanting to engage in a conversation with him. Sorry, sometimes it just like hits me what I'm doing right now. I found myself wanting to know more, wanting to engage in a conversation with him. I decided to ask, which of your impulses are you afraid of? He replies, a society without rules equal chaos. Just look at America now. Look at Chicago or San Francisco. We are hemorrhaging utter chaos. I couldn't help but find his fear of big cities so cute, albeit a little ignorant. I responded while my tongue was caressing the inside of my cheek.
I'm so uncomfortable. I can feel like my vulva retracting inside of my body, but please go on.
Okay, sorry. Oh man.
Oh, no.
Okay. I respond. Okay. I responded while my tongue was caressing the inside of my cheek. I've been to Chicago. Haven't been to San Francisco. What kinds of chaos do you think they are in? He replies, are you kidding me? Turn in your television. Turn in your
Turn it in, John.
Turn in your television. San Francisco is filled with murder, assault, attacks on Asians, needles everywhere, chronic drug abuse, rampant homelessness, the smell of urine, feces in the street.
Oh, no.
It's not safe. It's in chaos. The last breath of a once great city. And Chicago, drugs, gangs, highest homicide rate, smash and grabs, just to name a few. Our cities are in chaos, moral breakdown, no accountability, moral fabric fraying. I reply, sounds scary. What rules would prevent that? No response. Until 3 days later, our fragile knight with armor made of straw commented on another post, specifically from a quote of season 2 of the podcast about Catholics and Protestants, where he declared, Christianity is mostly made up of people of color in this world. Look no further than Africa. Well, yeah, if you looked no further than Africa. Anyways, and Christianity is
Don't
often...
look anywhere else.
God. And Christianity is often dead in these so-called Catholic countries. For example, France. We used to refer to it as Catholic France. What? But Catholicism has little influence in this supposed most Catholic of countries. I couldn't believe it. This man just couldn't stop commenting on nearly every post of mine, trying to impress me with his twisted worldview. He was obsessed with rules and morality, yet he couldn't see his own love for me was forbidden by his God. It was frustrating, infuriating, and I was running out of patience. I knew he was in love with me, but he couldn't even admit it. Instead, he deflected and tried to argue about the state of the world, the chaos in our cities, and the supposed decline of Christianity. It was all a pathetic attempt to avoid the truth that he was in love with me and he couldn't handle it. I sorrowfully and defeatedly replied, why do you keep commenting? You make such an ass of yourself almost daily. What is your goal? He did not like my defiance and turned to a man's favorite weapon, gasoline. You resort to name calling when you lose the debate. You are so rude and vulgar. You are triggered so easily. Your hate and disrespect are so evident. Bitterness will destroy you. Wait! It already has. But despite all this, he still followed me and commented on my posts constantly, hiding behind the anonymity of his screen. I called him out on it. So why do you follow and comment /DM daily, all anonymously, as justifiably bitter as I am? I think you might be projecting a bit more than you realize. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. It's been over 2 weeks since I've heard from him. I can't help but wonder if he's moved on, or if he's still watching from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to make his move. The tension between us remains, and I can't shake the feeling that there's something unresolved between us. His words still linger. His voice still echoes in my mind. The uncertainty of his timing is as maddening as the God I used to believe in. The possibility of what might come next is almost too tantalizing to resist. But seriously, I'm blocking him if he ever comments shit like that again.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
John, I think that was the horniest I've ever heard you.
The what?
I think that was the horniest I've ever heard you.
You truly sounded ready to just get it on with this guy, assuming it's a guy.
Dude,
the tension, you could cut the tension with a knife, John. I mean, like, wow.
You want to hear the saddest part of that story? He's been commenting on other like ex-Christians' Instagrams. I just found out like the other day, and makes me a little sad. He's moved on.
Wow. He moved on to other ex-Christians.
So the back and forth that you included, those were actual comments that he's left?
Yes, everything was verbatim comments from me and him. It's
wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Dano 3880. You're welcome for that. My goodness. What a note to end on, right? I did want to say this. I did I want to thank you both. This is going to be a hard turn to thank you, but seriously, everything y'all have done, from the very beginning, y'all were supportive. Y'all contributed to this project. It's been instrumental. Yeah, I can't say thank you enough. And beyond that, I want to say thank you for like being formative friends in my life, not just this little podcast, whatever. But like Chris, you've been like a source of encouragement behind the scenes for years at this point. He's supporting me every step of the way. Lily, our friendship started here and it's grown here. And I'm just so grateful for the deep connection that you and I have formed. And we're like connected, yeah, you're both just you're not just like series regulars on my podcast, like you're family, and you've become like a essential part of my life, and so thanks for being there for the bad times, the good times. You've been friends, confidants, a support system, and I can't imagine doing this without y'all. So as I wrap up the season, I'm just grateful for every moment that we've shared, and I'm excited for whatever comes next. That's a lot less horny than what I just did for the random commenter. But
less horny and more heartfelt, and it's just like it hits right here, right in the heart,
right in my feels.
Inside there are two wolves. One is horny and one is heartfelt.
The one you feed shall win.
Man,
we all know which one John has fed.
Yeah,
it depends on the day.
I choose to be heartfeltly horny.
I
get a good feel in my heart. Why don't you?
I choose to be horny about being heartfelt.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's hotter than being heartfelt, It's just like, wow, I
want to get on that.
All right. This has been an amazing, I don't know what the exact like the time will be when I finish editing this thing, but we've been talking for like
hours.
For like 4-something hours. I don't know if it'll be that long. It might be. Joe Rogan can do it, and I'm better than Joe Rogan.
He can.
I'm like, we can.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar.
It's a really low bar.
It is, but I'll take it.
John, I do want to point out that we've been talking for 5 hours and 41 minutes at this point.
That's fine. We've
actually
done that
longer.
Before.
6 hours.
We've done that before. Y'all probably are hungry though. I'm like, it's like almost 1 a.m.
Starting. Yeah.
Anything y'all want to say before I just say thanks to the listeners? Like, is there any? I don't want y'all to feel like you didn't get to say your piece before the death of this season of the podcast.
I have no more piece to say. I think
it is only
piece has been spoken. There is only chaos.
God, I wish that we could do something more personal. Like, what are y'all watching right now? But I know you want to wrap this up.
No, this is no. It is time. It's time to end. It's time to say bye. I'm bad at byes. It's hard.
You are good. You are very bad at goodbyes.
I'm also bad at byes. I'm remembering to give a shout out to the Trevor Project. I'm always trying to shout them out. It's a really cool website, and they also have an app. You just have to click escape twice to be booted off of the website in case you are in a home that is not supportive. They also have a chat and text line, primarily I think for teenagers, but I'm sure any queer person can access it. I'm always happy to make friends from the pod. My Instagram and Twitter is at sweetwordswitch. If you're a dude, I might be a little more hesitant to accept a follow request, but just
I wonder why.
But please be more than welcome to, like, if you are a listener and want to be pals and you happen to be a dude, feel free to just shoot me a DM and be like, hey, let's be pals. I'm a listener. And I'll be like, oh, okay, word. So yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for being pals and listeners on this journey. It's been a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Lily's the best. So if you're not a man, like, go follow her.
You can follow me if you're a man too. Just let me know.
If you're a man, you can follow her too. Just don't be a dick.
Just don't be a weirdo.
Yeah.
It's been real, guys. Wow. I'm feeling good.
Sure
y'all gotta realize, like, I put so much fucking work into this thing, and it's just like, it feels so good to be like done with it. Like, again, I'll say this much before I go. I'll say that there's still going to be subscriber only content on Spotify. So for those of you who pay $5 a month, you'll still get something. I think I'm going to start doing some new shows, not just art and parsing propaganda, and I'm really excited about what they are. I'm thinking, no promises yet, but I'm thinking there'll be some like church stories that are like short stories about crazy things that have happened at church, including my own stories and some familiar faces stories. So we'll see. So subscribe for that. That will keep going even in the off season. Additionally, I'm investigating cults other than Christianity quite often, actually, and you can find out all about my findings on my Substack. And if you're following me on Instagram, that's easy to get to, but I'll put it in the show notes too. There will be a season 4 of the Cult of Christianity. I don't know when, but it'll happen at some point in the future. Again, if you want the most up-to-date information, go to the Cult of Christianity Instagram. That's where I'm most frequently posting things. And most importantly, like, listeners, thank you for your support and engagement through the season. The enthusiasm, the passion for the topics we discuss. I mean, it inspires me to keep going, even when this is very hard work. And it makes me want to keep shining light on the truth. So thank you for being a part of the podcast and for joining me on the journey, on the trip. I'm very grateful for all of y'all. Go ahead.
Oh, before you said bye, I was going to say, and who knows, maybe you and I will start our VeggieTales rewatch podcast.
Okay.
Dude,
let me know via DMs or comments or whatever. Do you want me and Lily to do a rewatch podcast of VeggieTales? Because we've been kind of like spinning that around and being like,
I would pay money.
It's a pretty good idea.
Would pay money.
It's a pretty good idea. If you want me and Lily to like watch VeggieTales and then get under the influence of something and recap them and talk about our joy, our true joy in watching VeggieTales, let us know. So yeah.
Is my
and Chris would absolutely make a guest appearance if that ever happened. So
at some point, yeah, gotta pop in there.
Yeah, I've been wanting to. Yeah. I don't know, Chris. Do you want to watch something and call it a podcast? I don't know. But
VeggieTales, of course.
Yeah, VeggieTales. Is there anything else? Thank you guys for coming by. Thank y'all, both Chris and Lily, for coming by and suffering through 5 hours of nonsense for me. And thank all of you for being a part of the podcast. I'm truly grateful for everyone, including the listeners, who's a part of this. I can't wait to keep doing this work in the future. So for y'all, keep going, keep learning, and I'll talk to y'all very soon. If you'd like to learn more about this podcast or other work I'm doing, go to thecultofchristianity.com. If you'd like to support this podcast, listen, follow, share, and consider subscribing for $5 through Spotify for additional content, or give as much or as little as you can to support this work through links in the show's notes. Every dollar helps further this important discussion as well as start other exciting projects. Thanks for listening, and remember to keep love in your life, hope in your heart, and searching in your soul.